B'Shem Hashem Na'aseh v'Natzliach, shiur Torah. Good to be here in Aventura, Baruch Hashem, even though everything to me in Florida is Aventura. Somebody asked me, where do you know there's such and such from today? I said, he's in Miami, but I think it's Aventura. I'm here 4 years, I still don't know anything. The Zad Hashem, the shiur today will be for Ilui Nishmat, Sarah Bat Sivyo. May Hashem bring her neshama mala in Gan Eden Bezat Hashem, and give a lot of atzlacha to our granddaughter, who's constantly supporting KIRUV Baruch Hashem every month, every time she has an opportunity. Bezat Hashem HaKadosh Baruch Hu will give her zivug, give her atzlacha rabba, give her parnasa tova, refuah shlema, refuat hanefesh, refuat haguf, chaim arukim shlemim meleim Torah mitzvot v'gmilut chasadim. And Bezrat Hashem, for all of Am Yisrael that understands the magnitude of doing KIRUV today, it's a not an argument. You know, sometimes you say arguably such and such, arguably such and such, meaning some people can have this opinion, some people can have a different opinion. That's when you say arguably. Today it's not arguably that the most important mitzvah of our generation is to do KIRUV. The most important tzedakah to be involved in is KIRUV. And the reason why Rabotai Zikuy Rabim is so critical is because Hashem Yerachem, we're in such a generation that's so low and so selfish that if KIRUV does not pick up, if KIRUV does not continue to succeed in a big way, we are 1 or 2 generations from not having a people. Right now we're in a situation where so many people are so confused, you don't really know if more people are joining the derech or getting off the derech. Some say, no, there's a lot of Baalei Tshuva. I say, you're right, there's a lot of Baalei Tshuva. Baruch Hashem, every week I get new ones that send me letters that give me encouragement to continue going stronger and stronger. Mesirut nefesh v'am Yisrael. Every week, Baruch Hashem, there's new people. At the same token, you also get letters of the people that left the derech a week before. Not because of you. They're like, no, by the way, I left the derech last week, but now I started watching your video. Why'd you leave? Oh no, I've been religious for 20 years and decided to stop. Meaning it's like a job, I quit. Shem Echem, people are leaving. Why? Why are they leaving? Why? How do you leave God? If you believe in God, how do you leave Him? If you believe in God, how do you leave Him? Meaning that it's not possible. It's not possible to leave God if you believe Him. If you believe in Him, if you believe Him and what He said, meaning that it could only be one of 2 issues. When someone is either not religious or someone gets off the derech, it could only be one of 2 causes. Either they don't believe in Hashem, they don't believe in Him, they think that the world came from nothing, they think that they came from monkeys, they think that their great ancestor is an amoeba, and maybe the ant that was right at the petach over here. There was an ant right outside of the Breslov Center that I saw. I said hello to her. She goes, oh yeah, I'm Steve. Don't say hi. Come on to Steve. Don't just say hello, Steve. Maybe it's since their cousin or something from a previous generation, Gilgul or something. Some people think that. Other people, no, you ask him, you believe in Hashem? He's like, of course I believe in Hashem. Are you crazy? What do you think, I'm an atheist? I said, okay, so how come you don't keep Shabbat? How come you don't keep Talat Mishpacha? How come you don't watch your eyes? How come you don't watch this? How come you don't watch anything? All you watch is Kaduregel. All you watch is you watch soccer. That's all you watch. Not the Brit, not the eyes, not the shiur Torah. All you're watching Kaduregel. You're watching football, you're watching basketball, you're watching shtuyot, you're watching the stock market. How come? Oh, for each their own. I'm not at that level. It's a constant answer. I'm not at that level. Meaning that this person, unfortunately, is at a level where he doesn't believe Hashem. It's not that he doesn't believe in Him. He doesn't believe Him. He doesn't believe that Hashem wrote the Torah and He meant it. That when you say Amen, it's Rashi Tevot, it's an acronym for El Melech Ne'eman. The God, the King, that's trustworthy, reliable, meaning that what he says is what he's going to do. That's every time you say Amen. The Chafetz Chaim Alav Shalom said that it was worth it for Hashem to create the world with all of the universe, the cosmos, the 10 to the 18th power stars, as it says in Gemara Masechet Brachot, page 32b, exactly how many stars we have in the universe, 1064340, and then 12 zeros after it. Not to chas v'shalom make you think that I know anything, but just to show you how precise our Torah is, that literally we have even the number of stars written before we had a telescope. We have all the information in the world, but yet people want to believe these so-called scientists that make a mistake that causes mankind to die on a weekly basis. Hashem Yitbarach gave us such a wonderful Torah, but we choose to go against it. We choose to ignore it. The Chafetz Chaim says that it was worth it for Hashem to create the world with everything in it, with all the cosmos and all the stars and all the universe and all of the planets and the water and the rules of the world, the oxygen, the hydrogen, the whole table of contents, the rules of the world as far as gravity, black holes, and black swans in the stock market, all of these things. For what? For one Jew in the middle of Miami, Florida, to say Amen. That's it, once. World is around almost 6,000 years. No one ever said Amen. Shem Erechem. Chafetz Chaim says, one guy says, somebody says a parshah, Baruch atah Hashem, Elokeinu melech haolam, borei pri ha'etz. One guy says Amen. Chafetz Chaim says, it was worth it for Hashem to create the world for the Amen. One Amen. Why? Because you're testifying that Hashem is not kidding. You're testifying that Hashem holds His word. That even if you want to go and use the few minority opinions that say that the average secular person that doesn't know what Shabbat is considered Tinok Shenishba, you could still never tell that Tinok Shenishba that he's going to Gan Eden, because that would be a kfirah and that would be against the Torah and that would be a lie. There's no free ticket to go into Gan Eden. Meaning that even if you say that someone that drives on Shabbat is Mechalel Shabbat Befaresya, but you want to use the opinion of the Lubavitcher Rebbe, or you want to use the opinion of Rav Moshe Feinstein, or you want to use the opinion that some say is actually the opinion of the Chazon Ish, while others say it's a misunderstanding. Either way, let's say it is, that because he's secular, he drives on Shabbat, he's a Tinok Shenishba. The rest of the poskim obviously go against it. They say, no, he's not a Tinok Shenishba. The guy drives on Shabbat. He's surrounded by Jews. He lives in New York. As a matter of fact, Rav Moshe Feinstein, the one that says a Tinok Shenishba, also said that if he lives in New York, there can't be a Tinok Shenishba. Why? Everybody's Jewish. But anyway, let's say you want to do a psak like that and say everybody's a Tinok Shenishba. Everybody is a captured baby. You still can never tell this man that he's going to Gan Eden or he has nothing to worry about. What you can do, halachically, is you can allow him to touch your wine on Shabbat and still drink it. That's all you're allowed to. If you want to be a psak like the minority opinion, all you're allowed to do is say, if he touched my wine, I don't have to throw it out. So you saved yourself $20. If, let's say, for example, he says Kaddish, you could say Amen. You could say Amen. But Rabbi Ovadia says, but in reality, if you lend the money, you could charge him interest. Why? Because the majority opinion is that even if he's a Tinok Shenishba, he's only a Tinok Shenishba on specific sins, on specific things. He's not a Tinok Shenishba on everything. He doesn't know nothing. He came to Beit Knesset, right? So he knows he has to go to Beit Knesset. He says Amen when somebody says a prayer, right? So he has to say Amen every time he sees a prayer. He sees that somebody prays, so every time he eats something, he knows he has to pray, so every time he doesn't do it, he has a sin. He sees people keep Shabbat, so he knows he has to keep Shabbat, and so on and so forth. He saw things. He's not Tinok Shenishba for everything. The point is, Rabotai, there's no free lunch, there's no free ticket to go to Gan Eden just because you're a nice guy, And for all of those people that want to give these free tickets that don't belong to them to people, all you're doing is you're destroying neshamot. If there was any remote chance that the guy was ever going to do tshuva, but you tell him, no, you're a tinok shenishba, you don't know anything, it's okay, it's just keep tzedakah, everything's going to be fine, you're making matters much worse. It's better that you stay quiet. In the Siddur, in Tfilat Mincha, David HaMelech in chapter 25 of Tehillim says to Hashem, Adricheni be'amitecha ve'lamdeni, ki ata Elohei yesh'i. David HaMelech says to Hashem, lead me in your truth, in your emet, and teach me. Why? Because you're the God of my salvation. My salvation can only come with you. What do you mean to come to you? How? Why him? Why can't it come to his rabbi? Why can't it come to a couple of good books? Maybe a nice shiur, nice MUSSAR 129. Why can't the salvation come to that? He says because David HaMelech understood something very, very well. When you say Amen, you're talking about the King of Kings that doesn't change. When you say, how are you, you're talking about some person that most likely next week is not going to be the same thing. Maybe even his name is going to be different. Sometimes I meet people that have 8 names. I ask them, why do you have so many names? Like, oh, this one when I had a cold. That one is when I was looking for a zivug. That one was my foot hurt. I didn't know if it was a gidul or was something, so I got my another name. And that one, this rabbi that saw me and he said I had a red string, I had to take off the red string and replace it with a name and then put the red string back. All types of shtuyot of why people add names to their life. David HaMelech says, stop adding names. Remember one name, God. That's the one name that doesn't change. Hashem Yitbarach is the one and only thing you can rely on in this world. And David HaMelech says that it's your truth, your emet. I can rely on it. Teach me that. Don't teach me people's opinions, what they like, what they don't like, what's good, what's bad. Who cares? People ask me all the time, so what do you think about such and such? What do you care what I think? What difference does it make in the world what I think? No, I don't know, you're a smart guy. Smart! What's smart? I actually have anything that Hashem didn't give me? A person needs to be very clear. You have nothing that Hashem didn't give you. Of course, you can attain things, and Hashem will give you. As it says in Gemara Masechet Brachot, Hashem gives chokhmah to the chachamim. Hashem gives wisdom to the wise. So Rabban Yochanan asks, how come he gives the wisdom to the wise? Shouldn't he give the wisdom to the fools? If you give wisdom to the wise, they're just going to be more and more wise, but the fool's going to stay a fool. Why don't you give wisdom to the fool? So maybe he's going to become wise. The answer, Rabotai, is very interesting. The wise are wise because they appreciate wisdom. When they hear divrei chokhmah, they sit down and shut up and listen. They don't interfere. They don't talk over. They don't want to tell you their opinion. They want to hear divrei chokhmah. They want to listen. Why? You learn a lot better when you listen. When a person doesn't like chokhmah, he doesn't know what to do with it once he hears it. He leaves the room. He goes to smoke cigarettes. He's busy. He says what he thinks. He says his opinion. She says, no, I don't agree with you. It's no mekubal alai. She says, no, it's not for me. I don't accept this one. Like you were at Mount Sinai. And they asked your opinion. What do you think of this rule? No, no mekubal alai. Oh, okay, you know what? That one canceled. Why? She didn't like it. She didn't like it. Lamdeni, lamdeni. Lamdeni ki ata Elohei yesh'i. Hashem, teach me, because you are my salvation. You're the only thing that could save me. Save me from the lies. Save me from the falsehoods. Save me from the stupidity. Save me from the make-believe. Save me. Today, Rabotai, not a lot of people care about saving. People care about making sure that other people either know that they know or know that they don't care. And this Mishnah in Pirkei Avot is each one, each word, each example that Yehuda ben Taima gives us is an explosive example of midah, a character trait that we have to adapt in order to survive the falsehood that surrounds us. Right now, Baruch Hashem, there's a lot of people that are in the Torah business. There's a yeshivot, there's kollels, schools, books, publication houses, newsletters, and so on. But I really always want to ask, if you're already doing it, at the end of the week, at the end of the month, at the end of the quarter, at the end of the year, every normal operation reviews. What have I done? What's the point? What do you assess your point as? If you're in the Torah business, how do you assess it? Now, if it's just pure learning, then of course you assess it based on your achievements, how many masechtot you finished, how many tractate of Gemara you finished, if you finished the whole Shas, if you finished half a Shas, or if you're learning something else, different parts of the Zohar, the Rambam, or whatever it is that you're learning, you have to assess it. Aside from learning, what else are you doing with this Torah? Because the Gemara in Masechet Avodah Zarah says somebody that learns for no purpose, meaning just for himself, is like somebody that doesn't have a God. I mean, you can't just keep all this knowledge to yourself. You have to share it with somebody at some point. Your family, your friends, your community, your children, somebody. You can't just keep it to yourself. Write a book. Obviously not right away, but the point is that you have to have an intention. If you're in a Torah business that way, you're writing things or you're sharing things, okay, fine. But if you're giving lectures, or you have a big knesset, or you have some type of irgun, some type of organization, it would behoove you to assess the success of the organization by how many people actually did real tshuva. Not how many people are attending your events. Because if you have an attendance of 5,000 people, but they're all Christians, or act like Christians, you're not really doing anything for yourself or for them. If no one's changing, if everyone's staying exactly the same, they drove on Shabbat 6 months ago, they're still driving on Shabbat now. Nothing has changed. They walked around with no kippah 2 years ago, they're still walking around with no kippah today. They lay tefillin maybe once a week. Now, after they're already coming to your so-called shiur for a year, you have to measure that. You have to see, what am I doing? Why am I failing here? Because if you're assuming that you're going to see these people for a long time, you're wrong. No one lives forever, including you. So for anyone that's in a Torah business, you have to assess your success rate by looking at Baalei Tshuva, because that's what we need. Am Yisrael does not need more golf tournaments. Am Yisrael does not need more synagogues. Am Yisrael does not even need more Sifrei Torah, by the way. In this generation, do you ask any of the real big chachamim, what should you donate a lot of money to? A Sefer Torah or some type of Sefer for limud, for learning? Every one of them will tell you, of course, for Sefer limud. Of course, a tractate of Gemara, give them the whole Shas, a few Shas, maybe a whole section of Shas, Daf Yomi, sponsor Avrechim, KIRUV, a lot of other things. No Sefer Torah. Why? It says there's so many Batei Knesset with extra Sifrei Torah that in order for the Sefer Torah to be, to take out, it has to win the lotto. The Sefer Torah has to win the lotto in order to be used. Why? How many Sifrei Torah can you possibly use in 1 week? Maximum 3. Maximum 3. Monday, Thursday, and Shabbat. That's the 3 times a week they use a Sefer Torah. So let's say you use a different Sefer Torah, which is uncommon. Every single time. Usually the rabbi, the Baal Koreh, likes to use 1. But let's say he uses 3. Now, at best case scenario, you got 150 times. 150 times using the Torah during the year, maybe a little bit more. Some of these Batei Knesset have literally 200, 300 Sifrei Torah in a basement. There's no room. They have a whole floor just for Sifrei Torah. And somebody says, oh, for the Ram donating another Sefer Torah, 60,000. Chazaku Baruch, Chazaku Baruch, Shrecha. What a Shrecha? You're just having 60,000 parked in the basement. What'd you do? We don't need more Sifrei Torah, Rabotai. We need more Jews. We need more Jews, Rabotai. We need more Jews. So some people understand this, and they donate a little bit of money, they donate a little bit of time, they donate a little bit of expertise. They invest in Am Yisrael. And those people, time and time again, I see that they have, at one point or another, they have a miracle. Sometimes it's right away, sometimes it takes a while, sometimes they won't even notice it. But I see from an outside perspective, it's much easier to see. It's wonderful to see people getting involved in saving Am Yisrael, because from the outside perspective, you see the good and you see the bad. And you see that on the bad side, that we are literally only one generation away, 2 generations away from either everybody's going to do tshuva or Hashem Merachem. There's just not enough. There's not enough Jews being created. There's a lot of Jews in the world. There's not enough real Jews created. People are falling off the derech very fast. Rabbis are helping them sometimes fall off the derech. People have no emunah whatsoever, so they don't want to have any kids. At least 5 times a week, people ask, can I continue taking birth control pills? Can I just not have a baby for the first 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years of marriage? Until I have, the house and the car and the second, the vacation house and the dog and the cat. Can I just adopt a kid when he's like 18, say hello, and then send them off away back to the parents that had him? People just are, they're lost. They're lost. And the reason is because there's not enough emet. There's not enough emet in the world. There's a lot of sugarcoating. There's a lot of silufim. You know what silufim is? Silufim is like you're taking it's like there's a sentence. I don't know if there's a perfect word for it in English. Silufim is what the Christians do. Yimach Shimam. This is what they did with our Torah. They take, let's say there's 2, 3, 4 verses. They take 3 words from here, 2 words from there, 1 word from there. They make mambo jumbo. Like, see, it says it in the Torah. See, it says it in the Torah. What says in the Torah? It says these words in the Torah. It doesn't say what you said. Unfortunately, sometimes the teachings of Torah, so-called Torah from Jews, is the same thing. I saw an article by a rabbi talking about why he believes that the Rebbe is Mashiach. Goal nefesh. Goal nefesh, disgusting. With all due respect to the Lubavitcher Rebbe, I know that he's suffering because of this. People have turned him into an idol. They pray to him. So after the video that came out recently, Baruch Hashem got a lot of traction. One of these Chabad rabbis called me. Oh, I'm not sure what you intended with the video, but I want to talk to you. Who are you? To do 50 questions. Okay, after I got the 50, I passed the test. I got 98. And after that, I said, so, yeah, I don't think you were intending on going against Chabad. It has to be the most extraordinary organization and so on and so forth. I didn't answer. And he's like, say, well, the Rebbe was the greatest rabbi that ever lived. I didn't answer that part either. And at some point I said, wait, so you think he's alive? I asked him, all right, I don't, I asked him, you think he's still alive? Like, you think he's still alive? He said, no, well, you mean like what, like physical body? I said, yeah. He goes, no, no. Not physical body, but we don't say he died. So why come you don't say he died? He goes, a cow dies. Tzaddikim don't die. Okay, there's some emet in that, it's fine. It's no problem. I said, okay, so wait, so he died, but I don't believe he's the Mashiach. Like, you believe he's the Mashiach? I go, wait, hold on. He goes, what do you mean you don't believe he's the Mashiach? He had such a problem with my statement. He goes, what do you mean you don't believe he's the Mashiach? And then we went to this half hour, like I have all this extra time in my life, half hour debate of why he's not the Mashiach. And I already know their argument, because every single one of them has the same exact argument, the same Rambam, and the same Talmud Bavli, and it's the same exact thing over and over again. It's like you feel like you're talking to the machine. It's the same exact thing, same pages, same Rambam, same everything. It's all they had their script. I remember in the brokerage business, I gave everybody a script to train them in order to be good salesmen. Because, like I always tell you guys, words sound much better in your brain than it does coming out of your mouth. So if you want to be a good salesperson, already know what you're going to say before you say it. Already know what you're going to say before you say it. Even if it's you saying it, no one told you. You're saying it, write it down before you say it. Why? Because if you read it, more likely you'll make less mistakes. And more likely you'll stop yourself from making bigger mistakes by not realizing that until you wrote it, that it really is terrible what you just said. Preparation. Preparation is necessary for everything in life. So this was one of these debates that I was prepared because I've already had it several times. So we talked for a half hour, and it's this and that and this and that. And I asked myself, okay, so hold on. So I heard the debate. Let's just save the time. You're using the Gemara in Masechet Sanhedrin. Talks about the names. There's going to be several possibilities of who the Mashiach is going to be. One of them, his name is Menachem. And because of this Gemara, they're saying, oh, the Lubavitcher Rebbe's name is Menachem. Yes, you're right. But in the Gemara, it also gives a last name, which is not the Rebbe's last name. Oh, so you'll just believe half the Gemara? Just believe half the verse? Second, the Gemara says that if it was in a generation of Daniel, it would be Daniel. Being the Mashiach, meaning. If the Mashiach came in a generation of Daniel, the prophet Daniel, Daniel would have been the Mashiach. It would have been in a generation of Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, the original Rebbe, Rebbe HaKadosh, it would have been him. It would have been Rabbi Yehuda Nasi. So, from here we learn that there were possibilities in the past. There's also a Torah, there's a Tanakh that says that Hashem decided that it would be a good idea to give Chizkiyahu a melech to be the Mashiach. He made all of Am Yisrael do tshuva. Little babies knew the entire Mishnah by heart. Little babies, mamash, bemet. Everybody knew. No, he said, he put a sword on the ground. He says, anyone who doesn't learn Torah, I'm going to kill you with the sword. Everybody left the job. Nobody worked. Everybody just learned Torah. All day, all night. Little kids knew the entire Mishnah by heart. Kodesh Kodashim, Hashem says, I'm going to make this guy Mashiach. But then the Yetzer Hara says, yeah, you're right, Hashem, he's good, he's great, but he didn't sing to you. And his grandfather, David HaMelech, sang to you with Tehillim, and you didn't make him Mashiach. So how are you going to make the grandson that did technically less? Yetzer Hara, Ra Yetzer Hara, always finds the one thing. Ra, that's what Moshe Rabbeinu called him, evil. One thing he didn't do, he didn't sing to you once. He's like, oh, no, don't bring Mashiach. You can't be Mashiach. Hashem said, you're right. Hashem says, you're right. Hashem says, you're right. You didn't sing to Hashem. Can't be Mashiach. You see, Midat Adin is very critical, Rabotai. The Mashiach was passed over because of a song. You think he's going to let you be a Mechalel Shabbat? So, from here we see there was possibilities in past generations. Every generation has a Moshe Rabbeinu. Every generation has a leader. Every generation has the soul of Mashiach, but not until now, since the beginning of time, we have not gotten the Mashiach. Why? It hasn't been time. There's always been something. But the reality is that the Lubavitcher Rebbe being Mashiach is a problem because he died. But they say, no, he can reincarnate. So there is one Chacham that I found, one. Out of all the Chachamim, Baruch Hashem, Am Yisrael has a lot of Chachamim. There's one Chacham, I believe it was Abarbanel. It says it's possible that the Mashiach dies and resurrects, comes back to life. It's possible. The rest of the people say once somebody dies, everybody else believes he dies, he cannot be Mashiach. But there's one opinion that says, no, he can resurrect, come back to life. And that's what they're holding on, this one opinion, single opinion. The beauty of it is that the same Gemara that they use for a source is the same Gemara that destroys that argument. Why? And that's what I said to the Rabbi. Nice guy. I told him, listen, you're going to use this one opinion. Oh, you know the opinion? Yeah, I know the opinion. Yeah, I had this argument before. So you're going to use that opinion, you're going to come back from life, everything. Okay, fine. From that Gemara, yeah, from fine. Okay. Yeah, and it also goes with the Rambam, and it says this, in Lechot Melachim, he accomplished all this, he accomplished all that, all these different things. Fine, no problem. They listen to the Rambam, Lechot Melachim, of what the Rabbi is supposed to, the Mashiach is supposed to do, but when the Rambam says you're supposed to cover your head with a mitpachat, they don't listen to. Rambam says cover your head with a mitpachat, they don't listen to that part. They listen to the Zohar for the wig. You see what's going on here? We pick a little bit from Rambam when it's Ilchot Melachim. That's good. Ocheach tocheach et amitecha, rebuke your brother. No, we don't listen to that part. Bala Tanya, we like the stuff of Tanya, except chapter 1, when it says you must rebuke your brother or you go to Gehinom. It doesn't say, that one we skip. Page 35 of the Tanya, we skip that part. We skip it. We go somewhere else. We see there's like a little bit of siluf. A little bit of siluf, a little bit. They say you're going to use this Gemara. Okay, so let's see. The Gemara says that if it was in a generation of Daniel, it would be Daniel. If it was in a generation of Rabbi Yehuda Anasi, it would be Rabbi Yehuda Anasi. So here we have testified evidence, right here from the Torah, by Ruach HaKodesh, who it could have been. And we have a Tanakh, Chizkiyahu, and we have Tanakh, David HaMelech. We have. It's not like opinion, he's good, he's not. No, right here we have evidence, what Hashem thinks. If it's written in the Gemara, that's what Hashem thinks. If it's written in the Tanakh, that's what Hashem said. So we have evidence. It's not a debate. There's no machloket. So if already we're going to believe that there's a reincarnation, we're going to use the one opinion. Let's say the one opinion is right. Sometimes the one opinion is right. Let's say we're going to use that one opinion. With all due respect to Kvodo, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, why would it be him? Why wouldn't it be the prophet Daniel? That the Gemara says it should have been him. Why wouldn't it be Rabbi Yehuda Anasi, the original Rebbe, Rebbe HaKadosh, that wrote the Mishnah? Gemara said it should be him. Why wouldn't it be Chizkiyahu that Hashem said it should be him? Because he missed one song. He missed one song he missed, so it's not him. So why shouldn't we say, okay, you know what, the song's not such a big deal, we waited 3,000 years, okay, chalash with the song. Go. We had a lot of songs 3,000 years. Why wouldn't it be him? Hashem said it's him. Why wouldn't it be David HaMelech himself? It's already reincarnating. Bring David HaMelech. David, Ruth, yeah, David, good. Mashiach. Why would it be the Lubavitcher Rebbe? Why? Rabotai, as I said in the clip, and I'll say over and over again, sometimes people fall in love with their idea so much, they forget it's an idea. Sometimes people fall in love with their rabbis, they forget he's still flesh and blood. As much as I love my rabbis, I constantly remind myself they're still flesh and blood, even though sometimes it doesn't seem like it. The reality is, Rabotai, the Torah is to sanctify Hashem's name, not to desecrate it, not to start creating new emet, new truths. And when you pick and choose what you want to believe and what you want to follow, this one from the Rambam, this one from the Zohar, this one from this one from that one, and all of these different silufim, you're picking and choosing, you're using copy and paste. For the Torah, you're creating a churban, you're creating a disaster. You're destroying the Torah, Hashem Yirachem. And that's why I say that if we don't have a lot more people do real tshuva in the next generation, we're not going to have Jews. Because today, you don't really even know who's a Jew anymore. There are certain Batei Knesset that they literally, you see everybody looks like They just came from a Chabad center. They just came from a black and white. Everything is good, wonderful. Wow, Ashrechem, Ashrechem, Ashrechem. 8 out of 10 are not Jewish. Not Jewish, Bechla. Forget they don't keep. No, they're not Jewish, but they look Hasidish. Why? Because today, unfortunately, Judaism has turned into a culture and turned into a style. If he wears black and white, he must be a Jew. Everybody wears black and white. I remember on Wall Street, we wore black and white also, but all of us were goyim. The more your Judaism is dependent on your exterior, the less Jewish you are. Judaism is not dependent on your exterior. The exterior is supposed to match the interior. And the Gemara says that if the exterior of a Talmid Chacham does not match his interior, it was better off that the uterus of his mother choked him to death and he didn't come to the world. Why? He's a walking Chilul Hashem. When the exterior does not match the interior, better off you weren't born. Why? You're just destroying yourself every second you're alive. You're better off over there in the place called Guf. The Gemara says, when is Mashiach going to come? Answer is, when all the neshamot come out of the Guf. What Guf? There's a place in heaven that's called Guf, that all the neshamot are there, and until they all either fix themselves or get destroyed because of all their sins, whichever one happens, until all of the neshamot are emptied out from this place called Guf, Mashiach cannot come. The Steipler Gaon, almost 100 years ago, said, that's it, no more reincarnations. Don't depend on reincarnating. Why? Anybody that's coming in to the world now, he said, at his time already, is coming from the Guf. It's whatever is left there, that's it. Mashiach has to come. So now this Mishnah, Rabotai, is going to tell us how we can survive the falsehood. How can we be among the ones that actually are going to stick to the truth and not fall into the trap of falsehood that is self-serving. You can attack the messenger as much as you want. It still won't change the message. The Torah stays the same. If there's a single thing that I ever said in the last several years that didn't have a source, you could ask the source, I'll give it to you. If I made a mistake, you show it to me, I made a mistake, I'll make a public announcement that I make a mistake. The point is, it has nothing to do with an opinion. That's the point of it being emet. Yehuda ben Taima says, Evi az kanamer vekal kaneshel. רץ כצבי וגיבור כארי לעשות רצון אביך שבשמיים. Yehuda ben Taima says, be bold as a leopard, light as an eagle, swift as a deer, and strong as a lion to carry out the will of your Father in heaven. Yehuda ben Taima says that you have to understand, when you wake up in the morning, you say, Modeh ani lefanecha. Who is lefanecha? Who is lefanecha? Who are you talking about? Who are you talking? You say, Modeh ani lefanecha. I thank you, Hashem. So who is referring to? Hashem. Lefanecha, you're in front of Hashem. Right on the first thing in the morning, you're saying Hashem. Why? He's there all the time. Well, I was sleeping though. He's still there when I'm sleeping? Yeah, he's watching you. But I went to sleep. Doesn't he have something else to do? Yeah, he does other things too. He's everywhere. Hashem is there all the time. In your problems, in your good times, in your bad times, when you go to shiur Torah, when you play with the phone, during the shiur Torah, when you are on the way to shiur Torah and you come late, when you come early, when you get married, when you have kids, all the time. At work, in the bathroom, everywhere. So first thing in the morning, you're saying, Modeh ani lefanecha. I'm acknowledging this, Hashem. I'm acknowledging that you are in front of me even when I just woke up. And I thank you for being there for me. For giving me my neshama. For giving me another chance to do tshuva. Because the only reason why the soul was given back to you was in order for you to do tshuva today. Yesterday's past. Can't do anything about yesterday. Anyone that worries about yesterday is like one of these people, what do they call them? People that like to inflict pain on themselves. Masochists? Or sadistic? Sadistic or masochistic? Which one? Masochist? Okay, masochist. There's some people that like to inflict pain on others, and some people that like to inflict pain on themselves. People that like to think about the past, they like to inflict pain on themselves. Why? There's nothing you can do about it. Thinking about what happened when you were like 8 years old, thinking about that you grew up without a dad, or without a mom, or somebody, Shem Yachem, all this stuff that happened to you, I understand it's traumatizing and Shem Yachem. I'm not discounting it. I'm not discounting it. But to live your whole life with this forced event, repeating it in your head, what good is it going to do for you? I have a friend, his father died when he was a kid, maybe 6, 7, 8 years old. Traumatizing. Not traumatizing to an 8-year-old to lose his dad. 15-year-old too. What about when you're 40? Should it still traumatize you when you're 40? I mean, he's been dead most of your life. I mean, at this point, we should be able to move on. You should be a dad. You should start a new family. Don't make the same mistakes. Move on. But sometimes there are certain traumas, obviously, that are beyond the ability of a person to move beyond, whether it be rape, chas v'shalom, or things like that that literally are physically traumatizing and mentally traumatizing. There's certain things that we force on ourselves. Bad experience. Some girl broke up with you 30 years ago. You still don't want to get married. Why? Because Wilma from the store said she doesn't like you anymore. So you don't trust any woman for 30 years. This is stupidity. This is self-inflicted wounds. Some people like to do that. Some people like to think about their past to destroy themselves. This is a poison. This is drinking poison for a living. Abutai, in order for us to succeed, we have to move forward. I understand that sometimes moving forward is painful, but it's necessary. And you'll see that happiness is much closer than you could imagine. But if you don't let yourself move forward, if you don't stop thinking about the past and start planning the future, start working on the present, you'll just suffer for the rest of your life. What kind of life is that? So Yehuda ben Taima says that you have to understand that all of what you do, whether it's being bold as a leopard, light as an eagle, which will explain what all of them mean, swift as a deer or strong as a lion, all of it is to carry the will of your Father in heaven. What does it mean to carry the will of your Father in heaven? To carry the will of the Father in heaven meaning that if what you're doing, doesn't matter what it is, your job, your marriage, your learning, your teaching, your hobbies, everything, if it has no benefit, it serves no benefit to your Father in heaven, to Hashem Yitbarach, don't do it. Why? There's no point. The Gemara in Masechet Chagigah, I believe it's 4a, says if a person came and didn't find a way to sanctify Hashem's name, it was better off he didn't come to the world. Why? There's no point. There's no point to your life. You didn't find a way to honor Hashem, sanctify His name, publicize it, do something to show the world, it's Hashem. Modeh ani lefanecha. Who's a lefanecha? Oh, it's his, you don't know lefanecha? Okay, let me go bring it to shiur. You tell people who Hashem is, you do something to sanctify Hashem's name, you didn't do it, there's no point to your life. Zero. Nothing. How often? Every day. Every day. Not like once a week on a Tuesday night at 11 when no one's watching. Every day. You have to sanctify Hashem's name somehow. Through a blessing, through a tzedakah, through a learning, through a prayer, through something. You have to do something to sanctify Hashem's name. This is one of the keys to Shlemut, to achieving completion with Hashem. Where you are becoming slowly but surely a soldier of Hashem. And here is the only place where a woman is allowed to be a soldier. Someone asked me today, are women allowed to be soldiers in case of a war? The answer is no. And the reason why is because we need people back home to build Am Yisrael, take care of the kids, make sure they learn Torah. Wars are won by Hashem. They're not won by guns. So if we go out there to go help Hashem as if he can't do it by himself, but we're going to send the women too, who's going to take care of Am Yisrael? So, Yehuda ben Taima says, remember, rule number one, everything you do is for Hashem. Everything you do is for Hashem. If it's not for Hashem, there's no point. Oh, what about my job? My job is not, I don't work for a KIRUV organization. You don't have to work for a KIRUV organization. You don't have to work for a kollel. But what do you do with the money that comes from your job? Does it go to buy more video games? Does it go to buy more burgers? So you have another chin? Well, you don't have two is not enough? Two chins is not enough? You want a third one? What does the money go for? For what? What does it do? What are you doing with this money? Okay, you don't have to work for yeshiva. It's preferable you don't work for yeshiva. Why? Make no money. Work for Microsoft and Qualcomm and Coca-Cola and UPS. Work for them, no problem. As long as it's a kosher job, not on Shabbat, no problem. But what are you doing with the money? Is the money sanctifying Hashem's name? Are you giving maaser? Are you giving maaser only to Hanukkah parties or to actually bring Jews to Am Yisrael? What about your marriage? Is your marriage sanctifying Hashem's name? Are people looking at you as like, wow, what a nice religious Jewish couple. Wow. Are they saying that? It's like, oh yeah. What are they? I don't know. I think maybe they're Arabs. Maybe they're Puerto Rican. You know what? He kind of looks like he's from Africa somewhere. Why? I don't know. There's a certain thing about him. What, you don't look Jewish? People can't tell you're Jewish? Why not? Why can't people tell you you're Jewish? Why can't people tell that your wife is Jewish? Why can't they tell that she's even your wife? You know, it's impossible to tell if somebody is married if they don't cover their hair. Even the goyim understand this. So your marriage is supposed to sanctify Hashem's name. What about your children? Are your children the ones that are breaking everything in the neighborhood? Or they're the first ones that are Baalei Chesed? Go help the old lady out, go help the old man, volunteer for the yeshiva, do something, contribute to society. Rabotai, there's so many opportunities to sanctify Hashem's name. The more you think about it, the more you realize, wow, that's why the punishment is so dear for not doing it. I have an opportunity in every single step that I do to sanctify Hashem's name. Every opportunity. So, when a person understands that his job is to sanctify Hashem's name, that already reorganizes his entire plan. Restructures his entire agenda. Why? He's always thinking about Hashem. He's forcing himself to think about Hashem at all times. I remember when Rabbi Chaim told me, when we first started, he told me about Moshe Rabbeinu. He said, you know, Moshe Rabbeinu, he thought about Hashem all the time. I said, what do you mean all the time? Like, once in a while, a few hours a day? He goes, no, all the time. I said, what do you mean all the time? All the time, like maybe like 10, 12, 15 hours? He goes, no, all the time. I said, what do you mean all the time? What does that mean all the time? I'm a very precise person. I need to know, what does it mean all the time? He said, all the time. I said, wait, you literally mean all the time, like 24 hours a day? He said, all the time. How is it possible to think about Hashem 24 hours a day? He said when he would breathe, he said, thank you, Hashem, for the breath. When he would speak, he said, thank you, Hashem, for allowing me to speak. When he would see, he said, thank you, Hashem, for allowing me to see. When he'd hear some bird somewhere, oh, thank you, Hashem, I heard a bird. You created the bird. And you think about the bird. And think about the creation of the bird. And he learned Torah. He's like, thank you, Hashem, for allowing my brain to understand what these words actually mean. And so on and so forth. And it was amazing to me that someone can think about Hashem all the time. The more you learn Torah, the more you arrive at the conclusion that you don't understand how somebody doesn't think about Hashem all the time. It's actually not as impossible as you would think. If you learn Torah, it becomes difficult not to think about Hashem. Why? In your entire life. You wake up in the morning, you say, hello Hashem, thank you. You go wash your hands, oh, thank you Hashem for the water, wash my hands, a little pattern that Hashem created, fine, everything's good, the rabbis. You go to the bathroom, oh, you say, thank you Hashem for the body work, no, nothing, only scream for 15 minutes instead of a half hour like yesterday, Baruch Hashem, thank you. Rabbi Yehuda Nasi screamed for 16 years, better for me. So anyway, Baruch Hashem, everything good, every 2 seconds you have a mitzvah. Every 2 seconds you have a mitzvah. It's impossible not to think about Hashem. Unless you don't believe in Hashem. Unless you've become a robot. Unless everything has become systematic, where you're doing the Asher Yatzar already on the way to eating another piece of meat. You just emptied out the canister, so you want to fill it up again, like it's gas. Sometimes you see certain people, they're so busy, they forget. You go to Beit Knesset in the morning, the guy starts at Hodu, he finishes at Birkat HaMazon. What happened? How'd you get it? He goes, I don't know. I was busy, got stuff on my mind, stress, work. My wife yelled at me. Was she sleeping? Yeah, yesterday. She yelled, I'm still thinking about that, this and that. He's so busy, his mind is everywhere. He started in one place, he ended up in a Quran or something. He's in a different place. The guy doesn't know, why are you in Beit Knesset? What am I doing here? Where is this? Who are you guys? We're the minyan. We're here, this is the local community. What are you doing? So, people have so much on their mind, they don't know what they're doing. It's very easy to become a robot. It's very easy to become a robot. So, we had a shiur the other day, Rabbi Chaim and I, and we said, how do you start the day? First thing in the morning, you got our natural inclination is to think about all the stuff we have to do. I know that's how I am. First thing in the morning, I'm thinking, oh wow, I have so much stuff to do today. I haven't achieved what I wanted to do today for the last almost 40 years. Maybe today I'll be the one. Maybe today I'll achieve what I want to achieve. And I already think about all the things I need to achieve. But then Hashem reminds you, hey, hold on, you can't even start. Why? Talk to me. We have a meeting. We have to talk. We have a meeting. You got to pray. So that already stops your Yetzirah plan. Rabbi Meir Mipshischa, Rabbi Meir Miprim Shalom, about 170 years ago. It says in Sefer Bereshit, it says that Hashem created the world new. From nothing, from Tov Vavo. Bereshit bara Elokim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. And just like that, every day that you see the world, the universe, your world, your family, and so on, you should know Hashem recreated the world. Again, every day he recreates the world. He says a person needs to know that he has to manage his life the same way as Bereshit. It says, Bereshit bara Elokim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. Hashem built the heaven and the earth. So a person that starts off their day, first realize, it says heaven first. First thing to do in the morning, deal with heaven. What do I have to do? Oh, I got to pray to Hashem. I got to do it to the Taima. I got to go to the bathroom too. I got to go pray. Tefillin. Whatever. You have to do the morning prayers. You got to deal with heaven first. Your job, your lunch, all that other stuff, that's arrogance. That's something else. First, deal with heaven. Why? It says, Bereshit bara Elokim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. First shamayim. Then it's arrogance. Then you deal with your job and the kids and the this and the that. Yeah, my kids have to go to school, so wake up earlier. Yeah, but I'm tired. Okay, so go to sleep sooner. You have to deal with heaven first. Why? Because it says, after Bereshit bara Elokim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz, what does it say after? V'aretz hayta tohu vavohu. It says, in the beginning of Hashem's creation, He created the heaven and the earth, when the earth was an astonishingly empty. So Rabbi Meir Miprim Shalan says, if you deal with heaven first, and then this mundane world second, good. You're just like Hashem. If not, Hashem Yerachem, you'll end up at tohu vavohu. Because that's what happened. The rest of your day will go to the garbage. When you start off your day dealing with the mundane, you deal with the other things that have nothing to do with Hashem, your day can go to tohu vavohu. So Yehuda ben Taima says, start off your day, you have to be a leopard. You have to be bold like a leopard to serve Hashem. And we went over this last week. Being bold and not being afraid of doing tshuva. Not being afraid of what people think. Sometimes a person wants to do tshuva and the tool says she wants to put kisui rosh on. He wants to walk around with a tzitzit and a kippah. He wants to come to a shiur. He wants to start learning Mishnayot. He wants to do things people want to do tshuva, but they don't do it. Why? They're afraid of what people are going to say. Oh, became a rabbi on me. What happened? He became a guy wears a kippah. What? He became a rabbi? What, already just the kippah? That's the only thing. It's the only qualification of a rabbi? A beard and a kippah?
In Israel, they say right away, who died?
Who died? Hashem Yerachem. Arav Shach, alav hashalom, it says in Achtov Yisrael, Rav Ephraim writes in the book, it's at the end of the third edition, Gimel, and he says, he talks about all of these different extra adjectives to describe rabbis that they use today. Tzaddik Balair, Tzaddik, Kadosh, Malach Hashem, all types of kinuim. Gdola dog, Gdola this, Gdola community, the rabbi, the this one and that one, all this stuff. You see, they pass for you. Anyone saw all the shiurim we're doing in New York? Sometimes they have one pass just for the rabbi's name and the other pass for the dates of where he's appearing. Names, so they add all these different things: Gadol, Kadosh, Malach Hashem, Angel of God, Angel of this, Angel of that, all these different things. Isha Elokim, like Avraham Avinu. So Rav Shach alav hashalom said something wonderful, and Rav Ephraim puts it in his book Achtov Yisrael Perek Gimel, and he says, Rav Shach says, when it says Rav, it's already a good sign. Why? We know he's a male. In his generation, Baruch Hashem, there weren't Rabbaniyot yet. It says Rav, we know it's good news. Why? We know it's a male. It's a man. It says Kvod Rav or Rav HaGaon. I think he said Rav HaGaon. Oh, that means he keeps Shabbat. All of the Gdolim that really were really Kedoshim, Malachei Hashem, all that stuff. Not one of them used all of these names. Not one of them used all these kinuim. They would hate it. They would hate it. The funny thing is that you see that some people that are really holy, if you look at them, they look at it, you just don't understand. Does this person belong in this generation? But the way they view themselves, like nothing. The Or HaChaim writes that when a kid studies Torah, he thinks he understands everything. When a teenager learns Torah, he believes that he knows most of it. When a Talmid Chacham learns Torah, he's for sure convinced he knows nothing. Why? The more you know, the more you realize how much you don't know. Yehuda ben Taima says, don't let these Amalekim slow you down. These people that tell you, why, you became a rabbi? Don't put a kippah on. Why, you became a rabbi? You have a tzitzit on now? Oh, you go to shiur Torah? Come with us to the club. Come with this. What, are you going to wear kisur rosh? What, are you Taliban? You have kisur rosh? What, are you the Ben Ish Chai? Woman puts a scarf on her head like, what, you Ben Ish Chai? What, are you Taliban? We're not in the Middle East anymore. All these nice, wonderful compliments. They don't realize that saying such things, oy lahem ve'oy la'avonam. Wow. How it happens to them? They classify themselves as machtiya rabim. And Rabbi Nachman Breslev calls them snakes, like the Kvodo said. So he says, Eve azken amer, don't let these people slow you down. But after that, he says, ve'kal kaneshel. Kal kaneshel. What is kal kaneshel? Being light, like an eagle. If you ever see an eagle is the biggest bird. It's huge. An eagle has enough strength behind it that it can pick up a sheep or a goat off the mountain and fly with it. Strong bird. Don't mess with it. Strong bird, don't mess with it. Don't hang out in the mountains. Hang out here with us. The eagle, no matter how strong it is, how powerful it is, how heavy it is, it's a huge bird. It's like a little kid with wings. 10 meters. Huge. 5 meters. No matter what, the eagle can fly high, but it can navigate and act as if there's no weight behind it, and it could change directions in a second. A person that's close to Hashem needs to be like this eagle. Chazal explains to us that sometimes you learn something, you're convinced that it's the truth. When you learn Gemara, you have to get yourself used to torturing yourself a little bit. Why? Because the Gemara sometimes convinces you that you know what you're talking about. So you go to one daf, oh yeah, that's the halacha for sure. Abaye is right for sure here, for sure. Another daf, oh, I don't know, Abaye got a little weaker here. Abaye got a little weaker. Rava looks better here. Next page, no, Abaye is winning. Abaye is winning. Go Abaye! Go, Abaye. You're already good. You're good. You're right, the best. You're 3 pages into it. 8. Some sugiyot are like 10 pages, 10 dapim. You have blood coming out of your eyes already over here. Rava is saying this. Abaye says this. You're like, oh, it has to be one of them. There's a 50-50 chance one of them is right. It cannot be. Then you see Rabban Gamliel says, they're both wrong. You're like, Ribono shel olam, what'd you do to me? This one's wrong, and that one's wrong. How could it be? Why do we fight for 10 pages? Why do we fight for 3 weeks of Gemara learning just to tell me a one line, Rabban Gamliel says they're both wrong? Why? Because the Torah is not a song. Abaye says in Gemara Masechet Shabbat, the Torah is not a song. He asked one of the Chachamim, how do you know what you know? He says, I heard it. He goes, where did you hear it from? He goes, I don't remember. He goes, oh, so you treat the Torah like a song. You memorize it. That's not how we learn Torah. Learn Torah, we have to get to the bottom of everything. And more important to get to the bottom of the truth, we have to get to the bottom of why it's not false. Sometimes, Rabotai Yekarim, it's more important to know why it's wrong. More so than why it's right. When Rabbi Yochanan lost his chavruta, the famous sad story of the debate between him and the chavruta that he had, Resh Lakish. They tried replacing Resh Lakish with a bunch of Talmidei Chachamim. Now, Talmidei Chachamim in that generation, each one of them knew more than everybody in the world put together today. Average guy. Knew more than everyone in the world today together combined. More than everybody. No, not more than Resh Lakish. In today's generation. You take one of the Talmidim that's debating with Rabbi Yochanan, you bring him in this generation and think, oh, it's Moshe Rabbeinu. Cannot be. Average guy. Moshe Rabbeinu. Now, they bring a bunch of them to Rabbi Yochanan. They said, yeah, I think so. Rabbi Yochanan says, yeah, I think this. He's like, oh, you're right, Kvod Harav. Okay. Next one. Okay, so such and such, I think this. Like, oh, Chazaku Baruch Kvod Harav. Chidush. Nice. Rabbi doesn't answer. He says, okay, so let's go next sugya. He passes his page. He's getting frustrated. After the fourth or fifth time, they say, oh, Kvod Harav, Chazaku Baruch. That's a good one. He yells at them at the top of his lungs. He says, what are you doing? I don't need somebody to tell me I'm right. I know I'm right. So I said it. I need someone to tell me why I'm wrong. Instead of you telling me Chazaku Baruch and Kol HaKavod and everything I did is good, I want you to be a Resh Lakish that gave me 25 questions for every yes that I had. He told me 25 no's. 25 reasons why I'm wrong. That's what I want. That's Chavruta. That's Torah. But if someone has too much of an ego, he cannot learn Torah. Why? He cannot deal with the fact that he's going to be wrong. 99% of the time, you're going to be wrong. Once in a while, you get lucky, you're going to be right. And it's not because of your wisdom, it's only because you got lucky. Because even a broken clock is right twice a day. So now Rabbi Yochanan sees these people just telling him, Chazaku Baruch, he says, you're wasting my time. He went in the middle of the street looking for Resh Lakish that already died. Saddest story I've ever heard in my life. He says, Resh Lakish, where are you? I need somebody who can learn Torah, not people that tell me I'm right. Yehuda ben Taima says that a person needs to be light. He needs to navigate the Torah. When you're learning Torah, he needs to go after the truth like an eagle spots a prey. He's 150, 200, 300, 3,000 feet in the air. 3,000 feet like a plane. He sees a little mouse because he has the best vision out of all the animals in the world. All the birds, he has the best vision in the world. The vision of the eagle is by far the best. I don't know why I know this since I was like 5 years old, but for some reason, that was the first answer I said when I went to 5th grade here in America. The teacher asked the question, who has the best vision? Eagle. It's the only word I knew in English. The teacher thought I was a genius. I just knew one thing. Oh Hashem. She didn't know the rest of what I know. So anyway, I knew this. I knew this eagle has good vision. So the eagle, 3,000 feet in the air. He's a plane. He sees a little mouse, tiny little mouse. Mouse sometimes right next to us, we don't see him. Eagle sees him in the air. He stops what he's doing. Finished. That mouse was dead already while the eagle was in the air. He was already doing Kaddish on himself. You know, he's not running away. He's finished doing Kaddish. While he's going down, he's like, guys, it's going to be another like 30, 40 seconds. Have a party. Let's have a party. Do a goodbye party for you. He's finished. Why? The eagle spotted you. You're done. When you learn Torah, you have to be like an eagle. You have to look at things and you have to look for the truth, no matter what the cost is. Even if the cost of the truth is your livelihood. Even if the cost of your truth is your marriage. Even if the cost of the truth is your whole emet that you thought is emet until now, and you realize you're wrong, you have to abandon ship and you have to go to where the emet is. You have to be like an eagle. You cannot be so egotistical and thinking, oh, if I'm not right, I don't want to play anymore. If I'm not going to win, I'm not going to play anymore. That's a loser mentality. You have to know in Torah, you're going to be wrong more than you're going to be right. So when you find out you're wrong, Yehuda ben Taima tells you, you have to be an eagle. What? Abandon ship, go to where the right is. Go where the emet is. Yeah, but the emet means I have to wake up early in the morning to go to the Knesset, and I don't feel like doing it. And the emet tells me that I have to learn 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10 hours a day. And the emet says I have to leave this job. And the emet says I have to leave this girl. And the emet says I have to change my whole life around. Exactly. You want to be a Yehudi? You want to be a Jew? You have to be an eagle. You have to be light like an eagle. You have to be able to change directions just like the eagle changes directions, despite how heavy he is. Now, if it were just said, listen, you should fly like a bird and go here and go there, it'd give you a little peacock or something. A little hummingbird. You ever see a hummingbird, how cute they are? They look like little cockroaches with wings. They're tiny, but it's amazing. You ever see these in California? My brother has. He just got this little sugar tank. Remember my parents-in-law, they had it in Tennessee. They lived in Tennessee. It's like a little plastic thing, and they put sugar water in it, like syrup, in places where they have hummingbirds. And all these hummingbirds come and drink sugar, drink this liquid from it. And it's amazing because it's the only bird that flies in the same spot. Like it doesn't fly like other birds where they're constantly moving in motion, forward, up, down, and so on. They literally, it's amazing. Marabu ma'asecha Hashem. It's amazing. You see this bird, it's literally this big. It's tiny, but it's a bird. It's a real bird. It's tiny, and it's flying in the same spot.
How does it get to that spot?
What do you mean? It flies.
It flies to
It flies from there, and then it stops, and it stops where it is.
and it just goes like
There's,
this.
exactly. It stays exactly. What's the purpose? So you can drink the water. I can't give you guys Discovery Channel shiurim anymore. We're going to stick to Torah from now on. It's too much for you guys. We're going to have to stick to Torah. But anyway, it's amazing.
Here outside, but I don't know how all the rains, all the mabulim in the world, it doesn't fly. Every time I go outside, I מסתכל, I don't know, how, איך זה יכול להיות? גשמים, רעמים, whatever.
Hashem decided.
אילמה, העכביש הזה פה.
Hashem,
אני רוצה שתו like צמחים.
Hashem wanted it. Hashem wanted it. Beseder.
צדיק, עכביש צדיק.
So now, first thing we learn is we have to change directions just like the eagle. But Chachamim also say, the Sefer HaMussar says that sometimes this is referring to people that learn Torah, but because instead of using their Torah to soften their character, to become more humble, to become more kind, to become a better human being, in fact, they become worse. They become arrogant. But when do they become arrogant? The Sefer HaMussar says they become arrogant in front of their teacher. They see their teacher. He says, just as the eagle soars on high and also swoops down, so must a brilliant scholar not puff themselves up in the presence of their teacher. They must listen humbly and minister to the needs of their elders. So sometimes these people, they learn a little bit of Torah. They came to a few shiurim. They learned a few things. You gave them the stage to do a siyum masechet. Instead of saying, Baruch Hashem, I learned, I did tshuva, I did good, everything is good, what do they do? Yeah, I know more than him. I already passed him. I already passed the teacher. Maybe he passed French fries. What passed the teacher? People sometimes, instead of taking a compliment and getting chizuk out of this compliment to keep going, they take it to their head. And I can tell you that almost in every single case of a talmid going against the rabbi, it's always that. I know in my experience it is. I give somebody a compliment, wow, chazaku baruch, all of a sudden he makes it think like I called him Moshe Rabbeinu. He's the Mashiach now. People should start making flags of him. Compete with the Mashiachistim from Chabad. So the tool says, the lesson of the eagle is that man must be swift and agile in ignoring the enticement of sin. Just as an eagle glides through the sky and is able to change directions almost effortlessly, so should man teach himself to recoil easily from the beckoning of evil. In so many words, a person needs to see where the Yetzer Hara is. Now the problem with the Yetzer Hara, the Gemara says, the Yetzer Hara, Moshe called him Ra. Yetzer Hara has 7 names, the Gemara says. But then another Gemara says he has a few more names. What does it mean? What is the first Gemara wrong? No, it's right. The 7 names are names that different characters within our forefathers called them. David HaMelech called them a certain name. Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Moshe. Each one gave him a name. The other names are names that other Chachamim gave him. What does it mean, all these names? The Gemara says the Yetzer Hara is like a zvuv on your heart. It's like a fly on your heart. Last I checked, there's no flies on your heart. I don't have to go inside, I know. He wouldn't survive. Not a good diet for him. But the Gemara says he's like a fly on your heart. Why? If you ever see a fly, doesn't matter how many times you shoo him away, he comes back. You want to eat nice juicy steak, burger, to build that nice 3rd or 4th chin you want to add to your face. You know, you want to have another burger, but the fly shows up and he arrived on the burger first. He came there first. He goes, it's mine. Fine. It's mine. Find his keepers. He's like, get out of here. He flies away. You look away, he's back. Sometimes you look at him and he comes back anyway. Isn't it? That's the Yetzer Hara. That's the Yetzer Hara, Rabotai. Yetzer Hara, doesn't matter how many times you beat him. You didn't look at this girl, he's going to give you another girl. You didn't look at that girl, he's going to give you another girl. You didn't steal over here, he's going to give you another opportunity to steal. You didn't lie, he's going to give you another opportunity to lie. Every single thing, he's not leaving. Okay, so now you're good. Baruch Hashem, you're going to nets every day. Okay, so now you're going to miss mincha instead. He's not going to bother you for shachrit. He's like, oh, this guy's the best. This guy goes to nets. He lives there. He's a nets. He's a nets. Nets also means a falcon. He's a falcon, not an eagle. He's a falcon, already. He's already in nets, Baruch Hashem. But he never goes to mincha though. And he's like, no, but I go to nets. But by the way, do you know what's the biggest prayer of the day? Mincha. Mincha is bigger than shachrit. That's when Eliyahu Navi showed Am Yisrael who's boss. When they didn't want to worship Hashem, they wanted to follow the idols. He says, you want to follow idols? Go follow the idols. No rain. No rain will be here until you all do tshuva. 3 years, no rain. People are dying. People are starving. After 3 years, Hashem says, Eliyahu, get out of the cave. Eliyahu goes and he says, oh, you want to see who runs the world? Okay, you bring all of your rabbis, all your people, all your Avdei Avodah Zarah, your idol worshippers. You bring all your things. And I have one my Korban. I go my Hashem. And we have to show in front of everyone who's boss. Do all the magic you want to do, Korban. You have to bring a fire from heaven to eat the Korban, to eat your sacrifice. So they all bring a cow. One guy brings this cow, one brings that cow, and they all try, and nothing happens. And Eliyahu Navi says to them, maybe he's sleeping. Maybe your God's sleeping. Maybe he's sleeping. You should maybe wait for him. Let's wait for him. He makes fun of them. Torah says he makes fun of them. It's mitzvah to make fun of idolatry. Idolatry, idol worship, Avodah Zarah. Mitzvah to make fun of Avodah Zarah. Mutar, זה מצווה, לצחוק עליהם. לבזות העבודה זרה, לא אותו. It's a mitzvah to make fun of Avodah Zarah, so much so that the Shulchan Aruch, Rabotai, Shulchan Aruch, I'll tell you something, Shulchan Aruch, I wouldn't tell you this if it's not Shulchan Aruch. Shulchan Aruch says, if somebody says, why don't you come worship my Buddha, why don't you come worship my J.C. Penney, Shulchan Aruch says you could take that J.C. Penney and put it in your butt. Shulchan Aruch says it. What? Shulchan Aruch says you could take your idol, put it in your butt. It says it in those words. It says it in those words. Go check. Go check, it says it. Why? Levazot et ha'avodah zarah, levazot, it's mitzvah. I'll show you after. After? Now I'm going to show you. I'm going to stop the shiur and show you now. There's a lot of Shulchan Aruch. I don't know if that's the truth. So anyway, Rabotai, levazot, to make fun of idolatry is a mitzvah in the Torah. Now, the Chachamim always made sure to protect our speech, to protect our words, but they said there's only one exception when it comes to idolatry. When it comes to idolatry, you have to make fun of it as much as possible. Still, don't get to a point where you're talking like a truck driver, but you can use certain words like I just said.
So Eliyahu made fun of them.
So Eliyahu Navi made fun of these people, telling them maybe your God's sleeping. After they wait a little while, he says, okay, maybe your God has a hearing problem. When we say it louder. Say it louder. It didn't work. He said, maybe you should help him out. Maybe you could turn on the fire or something. Nothing worked. So then Eliyahu Navi takes a bunch of water and he pours it all over the korban to make sure he makes it the least inflammable korban in the history of mankind. And Baruch Hashem, of course, during the mincha prayer that he did, is when Hashem brings the fire and burns the korban to show the world who runs the world. So this very same Eliyahu Navi tells Am Yisrael in several places in Tana Devei Eliyahu the cost of not doing tshuva. Some of the things he says, if you look at Tana Devei Eliyahu, some of the things that he says are very scary. Because Eliyahu Navi actually knows what's going on in Shemaim, unlike us. We just have theories about what's going on in Shemaim. Eliyahu Navi actually knows what's going on in Shemaim. But sometimes Eliyahu Navi, he sees somebody that looks like a tzaddik. And the Gemara says that one time he saw somebody that looks like a really big tzaddik. And when he saw him go out of the Bet Knesset, he covered his face, like the guy smells terrible. And they asked him, Kvod Harav, why? When you passed the dead animal in the street just a little while ago, everyone else covered their face, you didn't. When you saw this guy, looks like a tzaddik, everything good, the guy's actually tall, handsome, he's the Gabbai of the Bet Knesset, you covered your face like it was garbage pail. What happened? He says the dead animal in the middle of the street had nice teeth. This person had nothing nice about him. Meaning his midot, his character traits were so terrible, there's nothing good about him. There's nothing good about him. Sometimes you're going to see certain people look a certain way, but they're not. So the Chachamim say, to be light as an eagle is not always referring to people that are to be change direction in your learning and so on and so forth, but also it's referring to people that are going too fast. Going too fast with certain mitzvot that are bigger than them. They make themselves look as if they're bigger than what they really are. So for example, sometimes you're going to see a guy start doing tshuva, and all of a sudden, a month later, he's got a beard longer than his rabbis. And everybody sees him and says, Kvod Harav, Kvod Harav. He doesn't know how to say Kriyat Shema yet, but he already has a beard bigger than his rabbi. Looks are deceiving. Okay, beard is free, no problem. It's not the end of the world. If it was up to me, I'd tell people you shouldn't grow a beard until you at least finish the Shas or something. Finish the Tanakh, finish Chumash, finish something, finish Kriyat Shema. Finish something. Do something. Don't just grow a beard and look a certain way. Be a Jew in action. Finish something. Do something. But sometimes people like to do things that are too extreme. They hear a shiur, they get a chizuk from a shiur, and say, you know what, from now on, no more technology for me. No more internet. No more iPhone. No more computer. No more car. No more microwave. No more TV. No more toothbrush. They go back to caveman. No more anything. This is churban. This is a destruction in the making. Why? You just did tshuva a month ago. You just did tshuva 6 months ago. You cannot become Bnei Brak in 6 months. You cannot become Rav Kanievsky in 6 months. You cannot. Now I know this week, Baruch Hashem, we're doing a Da'alon HaKodesh. I think this week is the best one yet, Baruch Hashem. And we're having our guest rabbi of this week is Rabbi Zev. Rabbi Yaron Reuven, Tzaddik Kadosh from New York. And when I spoke to him about it, if he wants to write something, he said to me, how am I going to send it to you? I said, now I know him, so I understood what the question meant. I said, Kvod Harav, you don't use a computer, right? He goes, no, not so much, no. I said, okay, can you have a typewriter? He goes, no, not so much, not a typewriter. I said, all right, can you text it to me? The text I could do, I could write it, and then maybe my daughter can take a picture of it. Now he knows every single daf in the Gemara by heart. One time I told him, Kvod Harav, I wish I was like you, remember all the Gemara by heart. He goes, no, what I know the Gemara by heart, every day forget a few pages. He says, every day forget a few pages. I wish I knew a few pages. Forget a few pages. I wish I knew a few pages. He said, every day forget a few pages. What are you talking about? This is the last generation, Rabotai. The guy doesn't think of nothing. It's like, every day forget a few pages. Yes. But this is a person. Why does he know so many pages? Because he watches his eyes, he watches his breath, he watches his neshama. And he's a person that has trained himself through a lifetime and cut certain things from his life or didn't add certain things to his life that weren't necessary. But this is the last generation that did it that way. And there's certain people that live in the world that are continuing to do it. But if you are like me, and like the average person in the world that grew up with an iPhone already by the time you were 10, and were watching TV as soon as you left the uterus, you were already watching TV. You already knew all the programs by heart by the time you were 6, like you knew the Shas. Instead of knowing the Shas, you knew every program by heart. And you were surrounded and consumed by technology. To just say, I'm going to give this up after 30 years, I'm going to give this up, and after 3 months or 6 months of learning Torah, you're fooling yourself. You're fooling yourself. And on that such a person, Shlomo HaMelech writes in Ecclesiastes, Kohelet, chapter 7, verse 16, Al tiyeh tzadik harbe. Al tiyeh tzadik harbe. What does it mean, don't be overly righteous? Isn't that the point, to be righteous? Isn't the whole point of our Torah is to make you righteous? So how is it that the smartest man of all time, the wisest man of all time, the person that had wisdom that's beyond even our imagination cannot reach the wisdom that Shlomo HaMelech had. If we imagine, sometimes you dream, you imagine like you're flying. It's the best dream. You fly right, left, especially if you actually know you're dreaming.
Until you fall, and that's the worst. You wake up.
Oh, no, Hashem, I don't have those dreams. I'm always flying.
You never fall?
No, once in a while. But anyway, so you're flying. You can imagine yourself flying. But you can't imagine yourself being like Shlomo HaMelech. That's how much wisdom he had. You cannot even imagine. You cannot even dream like being like Shlomo HaMelech. So now, Shlomo HaMelech says this, the wisest man of all time. Al tihi tzadik harbe, v'al titchakam yoter lama teshomem. Do not be overly righteous or exceedingly wise. Why be left so desolate? Shlomo HaMelech tells us that sometimes this nesher, sometimes this eagle, which the Sfarim HaKadoshim say that he had a private eagle that he would fly on, by the way, which we'll talk about in a different shiur. Shlomo HaMelech says sometimes a person is doing tshuva, but sometimes he goes a little too fast with the things that are exterior based. The neshama still is full of chulent. The neshama is still full of tolaim, still full of worms and maggots. But the exterior, he wants to make sure everyone looks at him. He's like, Kvod Harav, Kvod Harav, Kvod Harav, Kvod Harav. He says, Al tiyeh tzadik harbe. Don't focus so much on the exterior. Well, you're not going to use the internet. You're not going to this. You're not going to... Don't focus so much on the exterior. Be a tzaddik. But relax. Why? Because this could lead you to fall. if you go too fast with certain things that you're not able to do, right now, it's not expected of you to not use the phone. You just did tshuva 6 months ago. Somebody sees you using the phone, they're not going to celebrate your name or anything, but they're going to say, oh, it's normal. It's a regular person. But if you stop using the phone, you stop using your smartphone, after only 3, 4, 5, 6 months of tshuva, and then you hold out from technology for 6 months. You go to a kollel for 6 months. You go to Ol Sameach in Israel, or in Muncie for 6 months, a year. No phone, no computer, no this, no nothing. Fine, good for you. Chazak u'baruch. Looks great. Now what happens when you come out? Come out, your friends that you left, they stay the same. No one changed. They still have phones. They still watch TV. They still do everything. Now, I'm not telling you, chas v'shalom, to go watch TV. That you're never allowed to do. But you have to get a job. How are you going to get a job? What are they going to call? Well, they're going to call your friend. Your friend's going to say, hey, Steve, somebody's calling you. From where? From AT&T. Oh, it's a bill? No, it's a job. They're calling my phone. Like, what are you going to do? You need a phone. So, you have to understand that certain things, people go too far. More than once, twice, or even 10 times, I got certain people that got some chizuk from the shiurim. They say, I watch all your lectures, Baruch Hashem, the shiurim are great. It helped me with this, it helped me with that, it helped me with this, it helped me with that. Watching it for a year, watching it for 6 months, and so on. Yeah, but you said you have to watch your eyes, so you know what? I'm just not going to watch YouTube anymore. I'm not going to watch lectures anymore. I'm not going to watch anything anymore. I'm going to throw my computer out in the garbage. And they don't ask you. They just tell you they're going to do it. Not that they need a permission, but people decide this is the best step for them. This is a mitzvah from the Satan. Why? The one way you did tshuva was through using the computer for good. Now you're using that same computer to destroy your tshuva. Now you can't watch shiurim. So how are you going to do tshuva? Well, you think you finished after a year? After 90 years, you're not finished. You're going to finish after a year because you watch some shiurim? This is the Satan convincing people to abandon ship before they get too righteous. So a person needs to understand. It's not that you're supposed to, it's not that the Torah expects you to go back to Mount Sinai when there was no computers. Go back to Mount Sinai when there was no phones. That's not teaching. You're not teaching yourself or your children anything by telling them that all of these things don't exist. Because that's a lie. They do exist. Phones exist. TVs exist. Computers exist. All of these things exist. Whether you like them or not, they exist. So you could do good with them, and you could do bad with them. But they do exist. To pretend like they don't exist, you're just setting yourself up or your kids up for failure. And that's why many times some of these households that make the mistake of pretending like these things don't exist, one day the kids grow up, they leave the house, and they realize, wow, it's a whole new world. Everything actually exists. There's phones, and there's cars, and there's people, and there's all this stuff. And they break down. Because they get all at once. They lived 18, 20 years with nothing. And now it's everything like they went to the city for the first time to get a job or for shidduch or something. And they saw it's like a whole new world. And they break down. They don't know what to do with themselves. And unfortunately, Hashem and Hashem, sometimes they don't have the spiritual fortitude to be a strong person, to be the namir, to be the leopard that's strong enough to stick it out, and they fall. It starts with the phone, then it's a cigarette on Shabbat, then it's driving on Shabbat, then all of a sudden they have all these questions where they don't believe in God anymore. And all of a sudden, everything has gone to the garbage. Why? Because they've been lied to their whole life. And the Torah specifically tells us, midvar sheker tirchak. From a thing of lies, run away from it. It doesn't say don't lie. It says stay away as far away from it. Not only don't lie, stay away from it. So what do we do with this technology? We continue pretending it doesn't exist? No. We have to understand it does exist. Rabban Gamliel says a person should never say, I don't want to eat milk and meat. He's a liar. He wants to eat milk and meat. So what should he say? He should say, I want to eat milk and meat, but what can I do that my Father in heaven said no? I'm not allowed. That is the reason for all of the mitzvot, Rabotai. All of these technological tools can be used for good and for bad. We are supposed to train ourselves and our children of how to determine what is good and what is bad. To simply say, no, it doesn't exist, is not teaching them. It's putting them in a box. It's not teaching. Now, if you, before you did tshuva, had a television with a cable box connected to it, take the cable box and throw it in the garbage. Why? Because cable is never kosher. But the TV, on the other hand, can be used for kosher reasons. If you have kosher DVDs that you've already looked through, they're Torah DVDs. You can use that TV, that screen, that square, to watch Torah. The cable box is the Satan, not the TV. TV is just a tool to watch. If you go and get kosher programming, you could actually use this TV to learn Torah, to teach Torah. It's a screen. There's nothing wrong with it. If you teach your kids, yes, TVs exist, but we could only watch this, then you're teaching the kid, if you want to teach the kid, that this is allowed, this is not allowed. There's certain things that are allowed, there are certain things that are not allowed. Same thing with a phone. If you put a certain sensor on the phone, you're much better off than just telling the kids and pretending like phones don't exist. Why? Because you're using a phone. So every time your kid's saying, yeah, Abba says the phone doesn't exist, but he's a liar, I see him using it. So all you're teaching him is that you're a liar. Yeah, Abba says there's no phone, but I saw him use it. He's a liar. Kid's going to hate you. So tell him, listen, the phone exists, but it's not for you. You're too young to have a phone. You're not going to be the 8-year-old kid with a phone. You're not going to be a 10-year-old kid with a phone. Phones exist. But even on the phone, if I'm ever going to let you use it when you're a certain age, I'm only going to let you use it the same way I let you use this screen. For educational purposes, not to play games. To watch shiur Torah, to learn Torah, and so on and so forth. That way, Rabotai, we're teaching ourselves, and we're teaching our children how to navigate the Yetzer Hara, because the Yetzer Hara is not leaving. He's a zvuv, he's a fly. He's coming, he's leaving, he's coming, he's leaving, he's coming, he's leaving. He's constantly there. He's not leaving. He's not. You can't just eliminate him. You have to develop a Yetzer Hara immune system. What's a Yetzer Hara immune system? A Yetzer Hara immune system is an immune system where you understand that he exists, but you are developing the strength and the fortitude to deal with him. The only way you can learn how to deal with the virus is if you have the antibiotics in your body already. If you've already had the sickness in your body. If you don't have the sickness in your body, as soon as that virus hits, you're doomed. This is why there's all these vaccination shots. Little kids, little babies get these vaccination shots. We only recommend to get the bare minimum, whatever is absolutely necessary, not all the other garbage that poisons people today. But they get it. Why? Because if you give these kids the vaccination shot, you're actually making them sick technically, but only a little bit sick. Enough sick to help them develop an immune system. So when the real sickness, chas v'shalom, if it comes, we have a defense system. We have a way to deal with it. You're showing the kid that the phone exists and the TV exists, not because, yeah, listen, you should spend your whole day on TV and all day on the phone. No, chas v'shalom. That's choban. Spend all day in books. But to know that there's a time and a place for this, and there's a way to use it in a kosher way. This, Rabotai, is the truth. Because if you just simply tell your kids things don't exist, eventually those kids are going to say you're a liar. And they're going to use that excuse to go listen to their new rabbi, called the Satan. Can't lie to kids. Kids are smarter than us. So, if a person wants to be a tzaddik, he wants to be shalem with Hashem, he has to be like as an eagle and understand that even the eagle spots his prey spots his prey, and goes after the prey that he can handle. He's gonna go after the rat. He's gonna go after the mouse. He's gonna go even after the little sheep. But he's not going after the lion. As good of his vision is, he's not going after the lion. Why? He can't handle the lion. Al tiyeh tzadik הרבה. Don't think you can handle a lion mitzvah and say, no, from now on, I just started learning Gemara a year ago. From now on, I'm doing 10 hours without speaking. Ta'anit dibur, 10 hours every day. Every day I'm not talking for 10 hours. Yeah, and eventually you're going to lose your mind. And you're not going to know who to talk to. So Shlomo HaMelech says, don't be overly righteous or excessively wise. Why? Be left desolate. Because that type of behavior will leave you alone in the woods. You're going to make yourself an antisocial person. You make yourself a person that no one wants to associate with, even if you were social. You're going to make yourself detestable by society. You're not supposed to do mitzvot that make you look weird. Sometimes there's certain people that want to pretend that they're such tzaddikim, they want to show the whole world. So they walk around with a mop on their head, as if they're covering their eyes. They walk around with their mamash, they walk around with a towel over their head. You see them sometimes in airports. This is stupidity. Now, of course, there were tzaddikim in previous generations that did it. But these were people that were kodesh kodeshim, that were known to be all the time this way, and not just make pretend. And the reality is, Rabotai, is that we have to stop pretending. We have to stop pretending that we are something that we're not. One time somebody was pretending to be the Rebbe Misans, Rabbi Chaim Misans. Not the same one I told you guys about last week, the original Rebbe from Misans. And it was Purim. And he was joking around, he was pretending that he was the Rebbe. Now, the Rebbe knew, everybody knew that the Rebbe had a lot of pain. Everybody knew he was sick. He had a lot of pain in his body. No one actually knew how much, though. How did they know? Because the Rebbe would always say, ow, ooh, ah. You always see every time he moves, little little ah. It's not as smooth, Baruch Hashem, like everybody here, you get up, no sounds, no ah. Everybody here, Baruch Hashem, is fine. Everybody here, Baruch Hashem, is healthy. You don't understand what it means to have pain 24 hours a day, Baruch Hashem. I tell you, have 24 hours a day, you have pain. To you, it doesn't make any sense. You should thank God just for that. The fact that you don't understand, when I say 24 hours, except one person actually knows. One, maybe two of you knows. 24 hours a day pain, you don't know what it means, you should thank Hashem just for that. Everything else is extra. So, Rabbi Chaim's sons had pain 24 hours a day. So one person thought it was funny to pretend to be the Rabbi Chaim. And he put the coat on, and the hat, and the this, and the that, and he would say, ooh, and ah, and ah. And everyone was laughing, and everyone was enjoying, until the Rebbe's sons came in and saw it. And he saw he was making fun of his pain. And he saw that he was pretending to be him. He said, oh, if you're already going to be me, be the real me. If you're already going to say oi and ooh, oh, so have the oi and ooh. And a second later, the person started screaming hysterical, as if he's on fire, for a minute straight. For 1 minute straight, he had the pain that the Rebbe Misans had. Every day, 24 hours a day. Did you want to be the Rebbe? You want to feel the pain? Have it a little bit. Have a little time. Understand why I say, ooh, ah, understand. For 1 minute only. Not 24 hours. Not 24 hours. It's very common for the tzaddikim to have a lot of pain. Very, very common. Now, I don't have my clock today. I don't know where we're at. Still early. Still early. The next that we see here is Ratz Katzvi. Ratz Katzvi, swift as a deer. Yehuda ben Taima says you have to be swift like a deer, meaning to run instinctively, to perform a mitzvah, or to help another person. When you have an opportunity to do a mitzvah, don't procrastinate. And the tool says, as soon as you have a mitzvah, perform it immediately, without a second of delay. Why? Because as soon as you delay a mitzvah, you're giving the Yetzer Hara an open door policy. Chachamim, Rashi says on Exodus, Sefer Shemot, chapter 12, verse 17, it says, you shall safeguard the matzot. When it talks about the matzot, in the Torah, it says you shall safeguard the matzot. But the vowel system in Hebrew is such that the word matzot and mitzvot are spelled exactly the same, it's just that the dots are in different places. So Rashi says that this is a secret that Hashem is telling us not only, not only safeguard the matzot, but safeguard the mitzvot. How? As soon as you learn about matzot, you learn that the matzot have to be made in a specific amount of time. If you disregard them for a second, and you let them rise for 1 second too long, that's it. Chametz, no good. The matzah is now pita. It's no good. He says you should watch your mitzvot the same way. You delay it a little bit long, another 15 minutes of sleep in the morning, I'll get there anyway on time because I want to drive faster. I'll go to the later minyan, I'll go to the earlier minyan, I'll go to this shiur, I'll go to that shiur. You start playing with your mitzvot. You start playing with them. It says you're not safeguarding your mitzvot. Your rabbi tells you bring a notebook to the shiur, you don't bring a notebook. What do you bring? Oh, I brought my brain. I remember everything you said. You ask the guy, so what was the shiur about? Oh, didn't you talk about Moshe Rabbeinu? No, that was last week. Oh, didn't you talk about Avraham? No, that was 3 weeks ago. Why'd you come? If you're not going to listen to the shiur, why'd you come? If you're not going to listen to the shiur, why'd you come? For what? Why are you wasting your time? Go watch basketball. At least give the Yetzer Hara the full win. A person needs to understand that he is a representative of Hashem, not a representative of himself. Wherever you are, you have to take advantage of that opportunity. Rabbeinu Yonah and Tiferet Israel says that to be ratz like a tzvi, to be swift like a deer, means to run to Torah without getting tired, like the deer. A deer, when it's chased by some other predator, you see that the deer never gets tired. She keeps going and going and going. No, you're never going to see a deer just taking a break, maybe having a drink a little bit, a little Gatorade. Never see him take a rest. He runs like the wind. Tiferet Israel says, yes, you got to run like the deer, but not just for mitzvot. Run like the deer away from heretics, away from people that spread falsehood. Run away from them. What does it mean, run like a deer? He says, run and don't even look back like the deer. The deer, you see him run, and then after a while, it looks back. Goes, don't be like the deer over here. Opposite. Go and don't stop. Run away from the heretics. Why? They're probably chasing you with their falsehood. Run away from them. Give him a tissue if you don't mind. The Rambam says that if somebody is a kofel on purpose, meaning he's not just going against the Torah, He's going against Torah with a tachlit, with some type of mission. He wants to get people to become less religious. He wants them to go to the club. Not only are you not allowed to talk to them, you're not allowed to help them even if they ask for help. Not allowed. Rambam says you're not allowed to help them, even if they want to do tshuva. If somebody is a heretic, where thank you, not for him, I really meant, but thank you. If somebody is a heretic, where he tries to get other people to become a Chalei Shabbat, to become Christians, like a missionary, or what they call today, they don't call Christians Christians anymore. They call them Messianic Jews. So you have a person like that, even if he comes to you on 4 and he says, I want to do tshuva, you're not allowed to accept him. Not allowed to help him. He wants to do tshuva, let him do tshuva on his own. You're not allowed to help him. Why? Because he's too dangerous. And that's what Tiferet Yisrael says. Once he's a heretic, you have to run away from him and don't look back. Can't give him a second chance. Why? It's too dangerous. It's too dangerous for society.
Is a regular secular person considered a heretic?
No, regular secular person, if he's a normal regular secular person where he just doesn't know anything, he's ignorant, he doesn't know anything, then he is okay. I'll give you an example. B'siyat Dishmaya, you always ask wonderful questions. I always wonder where I'm going to add some of the stuff that I bring for you guys. And I don't know where. And then you ask good questions and you help me. So, the Geonim ask a question, Adrachot v'anagot re'iyah. This is written shortly after the time of the Gemara. Meaning that these people that wrote this, they knew everything that happened at the time of the Gemara. It wasn't like a story like it is for us. Oh yeah, this happened 2,000 years ago. This happened to their grandfather. This happened to their father. This was right at that stage. It talked about the mitzvah of shmirat einayim, the mitzvah of watching your eyes. It says, Eitzah l'shmirat einayim, adachot v'anagot re'iyah. It says, she'ela, question. איך להימנע מלהסתכל בנשים? How do we stop from looking at women? So here they're using a source from the Geonim. It says, יש לרכז את המבט למקום אחד ולא לשוטט בעיניים הנה והנה. It says there's going to be women that cross your path. And like I told you guys, I believe it was last week or 2 weeks ago, it says you have to focus your eyes on a specific point. Look your eyes at a specific point. And don't look elsewhere. That way, once you train your eyes, when you focus at a specific point, like for example, I can look at this point. Now all of you think I'm looking at you, or at least the ones that are in front of me think that I'm looking at you, and I'm actually looking at none of you. I'm looking behind you. Like right now you think I'm looking at you. I'm actually looking at the painting behind you. So you could focus your eyes at a specific point where you don't have to see what's in front of you. You could elect where to look at. You could train your eyes that way. It's not some big chokhmah. It's just training your eyes like anything else. It says, so it says, why should you wash your eyes? Why should you wash your eyes? What's the big deal here? It says this is what leads to foolishness. By not watching your eyes, it leads to foolishness and leads to arrogance. What is the example that we have from the Geonim? It says באוצר הגאונים שם בחלק התשובות מוסבר שהכוונה לאותו האיש ישו הנוצרי. It says the Geonim say, literally right after the time of the Gemara, it says that not watching the eyes was the beginning of the end of this Yeshua Notzri, Machshimo V'zicho, J.C. Penney. That was the beginning of his end. Gava Einayim, Baal Einayim Ramot, Shaya Olech Umeshotet Yamin U'Smol, used to look up. Instead of looking away, he would actually look up. Look at anything that moves pretty much. Right, left, and never put his eyes down. Just like the tzaddikim, anytime they see a woman, even from far away, they see a woman, immediately look at the floor. Immediately they look at the floor and they start following their feet to make sure they don't, it doesn't matter how old she is, they know her, they don't know her, they don't know, it doesn't make a difference. They look on the floor. He says, him, this Yeshua Notzri, not like them. He would actually look. And eventually he looked at a certain woman and he sinned with her. Why? Why? This is a Geonim. This is right after, this is during that time. It's people that saw this happen. They're not telling you, oh yeah, we heard. They're telling you, this is what happened with him. We saw it. There's another Ochacha of how Am Yisrael is the only documented proof that this guy even existed. And he was a Rasha Me'usha. But the point is, Rabotai, he says that the whole Maaseh with Yeshu, with J.C. Penney, started with not watching his eyes. As Rabbi Yeshua ben Parachia tells in the Gemara several places. Several places you're going to see, in several places in the Gemara, in Masechet Sotah, in Avodah Zarah, Sanhedrin, Gittin, few places in the Gemara, Yeshu is mentioned, and but in today's Art Scroll and most Gemara tractates that you see today, they don't mention him by name. And the reason why is because there was a censura, there was a censure by the Goyim when they saw his name and they saw how wicked he was in reality, and it kind of ruined their whole religion. They started killing us in the streets. So they started forcing Am Yisrael, they started burning Gemarot, burning our books and so on. So the Chachamim decided to change remove his name. And it would call something similar, but there's still copies of the old Gemarot that have his name on it. And sometimes they change the name itself. So for example, one place that I actually learned recently is that there are different names for the New Testament in the Gemara. One of them I just learned recently is Ongleyon. When it's mentioned Ongleyon, the book of Ongleyon in the Gemara, or in a different tzaddikim, different chachamim that wrote books, it's referring to the New Testament. There are other names also. But the point is that you see that his whole story, this person had the best rabbi in the world. Rabbi Yeshua ben Parachia was the best rabbi in the world. He was a Tana Kadosh, was able to revive the dead. He wasn't something mediocre. He was before Rabbi Akiva. He was before all of the giants that we see today, that we learn about. This is in the beginning of the Mishnah we learned about him. He's in the 6th Mishnah. Meaning this guy had the best of the best. But what happened? He didn't watch his eyes. He looked at a woman. That's it. All bets are off. All bets are off. So even when Rabbi Yeshua ben Parachia came to him, he says, do tshuva. Do tshuva. He said, you taught me yourself that once I become a machtia rabim, once I become I cause other people to sin, there's no tshuva for me. And he used that as an excuse, and he didn't do tshuva. And that's why he's in Tzohar Otachat until this day. But sometimes people are looking for the truth, sometimes they're looking for excuses. His whole disastrous story that has been causing harm to Am Yisrael for the last 2,000 years started with something that most people today don't even think is a sin. Not watching your eyes. When they went to a motel, when they were trying to come back to their old city, they stopped at a motel, and the hostess, the Baalat Habayit, was very kind to them, and his rabbi said to him, oh, what a nice woman. Yeshua Notzri thought that he was talking about how good looking she is. He said, oh, but no, she's not really that looking. She has round eyes. Meaning her eyes were a little off. Maybe she was pozelet. Maybe she looked, one eye looked one way, the other one looked another way. Maybe something wasn't to his likings. But he became so tameh, so impure because of him not watching his eyes, that he thought everybody else was like him. And that's the problem of a sinner. A sinner gets so disgustingly filthy with his sins, he starts thinking that everybody else is like him. And that's what, instead of making him one of the Gdolei Ador, your rabbi is the Gdolei Ador, at the very least you're going to be a Talmid Chacham. If you have extra talents, maybe you're going to be the next one. Instead of that, he ended up becoming the biggest Rasha in history. Yes, and he was a Mamzer. Yeah. That we talked about in different shiur. Ken. Haman didn't succeed in his plan. Even him, yeah. The Gibor Ha'ari. The next thing is, Rabotai, is Yehuda tells us you have to be as strong as a lion. Now the tool, as I told you last week, the tool, in his 4 books of the tool, that talk about the mitzvot, talk about the halachot that are lemaseh, to put into action, he actually starts his whole monumental work of halacha talking about this Mishnah. And he gives each one of the categories chidush. His chidush about it. The tool says that one should emulate the lion and approach the service of Hashem with a strong heart and an iron will. What does it mean to have a strong heart and an iron will? Someone asked Rav Kanievsky, Shechyeh, what's the most difficult midah? What's the most difficult character trait? Rav Kanievsky says, midat emet. The character trait of emet. The character trait of truth. Why? Once you have it, once you have this emet, once you've achieved an understanding of what emet is, and the monumental importance of sticking to it, you can never veer off, even if you want to. Once you know that this is truth, once you know that there's a truth, it's not that you believe God exists. You know He exists. There's a very, very big difference between believing and knowing. I believe that you guys are enjoying part of this shiur. I believe. But I don't know for sure. You may just feel bad for me and want to show up. But I believe that you're enjoying the shiur. I know there's a cup of water. That I know. I see the water. I don't see what's in your mind. You understand? I believe you're enjoying the shiur. I believe you want to do tshuva and so on and so forth. I believe. But I don't know. I know there's a cup of water in my hand. That I know. When a person gets to the midat emet, when a person gets to the truth, even if he wants to veer off of it, it's suffering for him. Why? Because he knows he's lying to himself. He knows he's lying to himself. He's suffering with the sin. One time a person called one of the funniest people in the world. I forget his name. He's a rabbi, big mezakeh rabbi in Israel. I'll remember his name shortly. Yeah, Rav Lasli. He calls Rav Lasli and they tell him, for the Rav, you have to help us. You helped us do tshuva. You have to help this our brother do tshuva. My 3 brothers did tshuva. One haven't done tshuva, and he hates rabbis more than anybody else in the world. We've never seen anything like it. He's in Thailand right now with avodah zarah, with all types of garbage in the world. We're trying to tell him to come do tshuva, come to the kollel with us, come keep Shabbat. He's laughing. Thinks it's a joke. So we said, you know what? You have to come see Ima anyway. You have to come see Ima. You have to come see Ima with us. You have to come back from Thailand. We're willing. The 3 brothers are willing to pay for the ticket, for the plane ticket for you to come. They have to come anyway. We're willing to pay for the ticket if you want to meet with a rabbi. He said, no. now I'm meeting with these crazy people, this, that. He goes, okay, 5 minutes with a rabbi. And it's a funny rabbi. And they give him all these conditions to make it like a piece of cake. So we made 5 minutes with a rabbi. It's the funniest rabbi. Nothing scary. Everything is good. Da-da-da. He's like, all right, you're going to pay for the ticket. Save myself $1,000. This, that, the other thing. No problem. 5 minutes with a rabbi. No problem. Fine. But you can't take the money back, he says, if I don't do tshuva. It's like, no, no, no. It's one time. You just 5 minutes. So they call Rav Lasli, and he tells a video. I saw this myself. And they call Rav Lasli, and they told him, Kvod Rav, you're the funny rabbi. You're the funniest rabbi in the world. And we need you to get him to do tshuva. He says, 5 minutes is all you give me? 5 minutes? I mean, all the funny jokes. What am I doing with 5 minutes? But then I said to myself, what am I going to do? Tzaddik. He says, what am I going to do? He's like, for a second, I fooled myself as if I've been making people do tshuva. For a second, I thought to myself, I actually did anything. And then I realized it has nothing to do with me anyway. Why they do tshuva has nothing to do with me anyway. All I got to do is tell the truth, whatever way, a strategy that Hashem taught me how to do, and that's it. It has nothing. I'm not funny way, not funny way. Point is, it's Hashem helping them do tshuva. I'm just a messenger. I said, you know what? I told them, you know what, guys? Don't worry. I don't even need 5 minutes. 2 minutes I need. They were so happy, he says. Wow, they were so excited. The brothers coming in, all the brothers are like, excited there. Wow, he's going to do tshuva. Rav Lasli is going to make him do tshuva. He's going to be with us with the call of next week. The whole thing is he's going to do some magic trick. Like, who knows? He's going to make him laugh until he becomes religious. Who knows what he's going to do? Now, emet, you listen to his shiurim. He's funnier than any comedian you can imagine. He's hysterical, but he knows a lot of Torah, enormous amount of Torah. Some people are just funny, but they're a joke. Some people are Talmidei Chachamim, and they know how to teach Torah in that way. And it works for them. He's one of the very, very few that's still living that actually can do it. And can actually get people to do tshuva. Anyway, the guy comes, he's with the brothers. Rav Lasli calls them, he goes, okay, I'm here. He's like, all right, we're going to send him downstairs. So it's not intimidating, he's not next to the brothers, one-on-one. So Rav Lasli says, I see this guy, Jmil, big guy. He has a ponytail like a horse. He's big, he's like a giant guy. And I'm this little guy. He doesn't see my face, and I make sure he doesn't see my face. And I have my hat on. I'm looking down and said, it's you? He goes, it's you? I said, okay, let's go for a ride. So we go into this car. He's driving. I said, listen, Hashem, I only have 5 minutes with this guy. What could I possibly say to the guy in 5 minutes that's going to make him do tshuva? What am I going to tell him, a joke? Why is that going to make, like, what am I going to do, Hashem? Hashem, it's up to you. I'm here. I did my ishtadlut. I showed up. I showed up. What am I going to say? I have no idea. And he says, B'siyat Nishmaya, he started talking. He says, you know what's going to happen to you? When you be a Mechalel Shabbat, in Shemayim, they're going to take your face, and they're going to take these pokers, and they're going to poke your eyes, and they're going to go, and they're going to carry you. And he started giving them a description of Gehenom. The guy got huge guy, the Rula, the giant that he is, monster, elephant, that was a bear 2 seconds ago, starts going, he loses his mind, starts getting so scared, almost got into an accident. Almost got into a car accident. But he has to listen for 5 minutes or else the deal is off. He's listening for 5 minutes, giving him a description of what they're going to do to him in Gehenom. After 5 minutes, the guy almost hits a few more cars, runs over to the side. Get out of the car! Get out of the car! 5 minutes is up. Rav Lasli leaves. He doesn't see his face. Shalom, shalom. A few minutes later, the brothers call Rav Lasli, angry as can possibly be. What did you do? What kind of rabbi are you? What did you do to our brother? We told him you're a funny guy. He said you're the scariest guy in the world. Now he hates religion even more. What kind of this? And they yell at him and scream at him and this and that. He says, listen, I told Hashem, tell me what to say. This is what he put in my mouth. What do you want me to do? They are so angry with Rav Lasli. What can he do? 5 minutes. What you going to say to the 5 minutes? 5 minutes, we tell the guy a story about a horse going into a bar. Why you have a long face? What you going to tell him in 5 minutes? Or joke, a guy bought his wife a birthday present. He said, honey, what'd you buy me? He said, I bought you a grave. So a year passed, get to another birthday. He goes, honey, what'd you buy me? He said, you didn't use last year's present. When you use that one, I'll get you something else. What you going to tell him in 5 minutes to get him to do tshuva? What you going to tell him? So anyway, time passes. Almost a year passes from the time. Rav Lasli has a seminar with a bunch of other rabbis. And you know, at the end of the weekend, they have, of the seminars, they have people go up and they say what they enjoyed in the seminar, what they liked, what they didn't like, and so on. Now, Rav Lasli, he saw as soon as people were coming in, these seminars, they do a deal. They make the hotel either free or a discount. So a lot of secular people come for like a vacation, but they have to go to the lecture too. So as soon as it started, he saw this guy, this giant gorilla, with the long ponytail the size of a horse. He sees him coming in, but he didn't say hello to him. He didn't say anything. So the whole weekend he's giving lectures, and the guy is like into it. At the end of the seminar, he's the first one that stands up. The gorilla stands up, and they say, "No, what'd you get out of it?" He says, "Most amazing weekend ever. I loved it. Where were you guys my whole life? Can't believe it. It's amazing. Wow, ishtabach shimo. I want to cut my hair. I want to do this, that." He's excited. He's doing tshuva now. He's finally decided to do tshuva. So Rav Lasli sees him, and he says to him, he goes, "Let me ask you, how did your story start? Like, what got you here?" He goes, "What got me here? Psh, you're never going to believe me." He goes, Tell us, what got you here?" He doesn't know it's him. He's over here at the end of the stage. He's over here, over there on, the end of the room. He goes, "What got me here?" He goes, "Well, I don't know. I got this, my brother set me up with this meeting with this psychopath rabbi. I never seen a crazy person like him in my life. This little guy, honestly, was the only guy I've ever been scared of in my life. I met with him for 5 minutes. He tells him the whole story. And he tells me about Gehenom. 5 minutes, I'm scared to death." He goes, "Okay, so what happened after that?" He goes, "After that, I got on the next plane back to Thailand." "No, and after that?" He goes, "I got to Thailand, and I went back to my life." "No, and after that?" He goes, "I had a problem." He goes, "What?" "I couldn't sin anymore." He goes, "What do you mean you couldn't sin anymore?" He goes, "Every time I wanted to eat pork, or every time I wanted to eat shrimp, or octopus, or light fire on Shabbat, or anything, it didn't matter what I would do, I'd constantly see his face. Everywhere. On the pan, on the store, everywhere I would see his face, his scary face. I would see it, and I couldn't sin. I stopped enjoying the sin. Even if I sinned, I didn't enjoy it anymore. It was miserable." He goes, "You know what his face looks like?" Rav Lasli asked him. He goes, "That face, I'll never forget it." So he says, "Does it look like this?" And he made the face. He goes, "It's you!" He goes, "It's you!" And they embraced, and they hugged, and they kissed, and everything else. And Baruch Hashem became a complete Baal Tshuva. He's the fourth one of the brothers in the Kollel. So sometimes you see that Hashem gives you a special talent. You have to use it. You have to use that talent. You have to dominate. You have to dominate the Yetzer Hara everywhere you can. You have to be like the lion. You have to be a gibor like the lion. The lion is not someone that lets anybody else interfere with his tribe. If you notice, the lion is called aryeh. Aryeh in Hebrew also, aryeh is the initial piece. For example, when the lion hunts the zebra, you'll notice that the aryeh, the lion, just takes the headpiece and he gives the rest to his tribe. That's where he gets his name, Aryeh. When Adam HaRishon gave him a name, he gave him a name based on his character. He takes one piece, gives the rest to his tribe. But you notice that the aryeh, the lion, doesn't let anybody else interfere with his tribe. He doesn't let any foreigners come in. Does not intermarry at all. He doesn't let anybody else come in, doesn't let anybody else interfere, nothing else. Sometimes even if a certain cub within his own tribe, he could kill him. Sometimes he would kill his own son. He could kill his own son, or the lion. Why? There's a certain order, certain level of leadership. A certain system we're sticking to. Obviously, we're not animals, we don't kill, but the point is that a person, Chazal is trying to teach us, that a person has to be dominating over his truth, over his emet, just like the lion is dominating over his tribe. You have to do everything possible to arrive at the emet, at the truth. You cannot allow yourself to go to sleep by still having a safek if what you said is true and what you said is not true. If what you heard is true, what you heard is not true. If you made a mistake, you have to admit you made a mistake. If you're not sure if you made a mistake, it's even worse than making a mistake. Why? Because now you could either continue in this false pattern of lying to yourself, like, no, it's not a big deal, or you can go chase the truth. Why is it such a big deal of saying it's not a big deal? Because, as I told you guys the other day, every time a person makes a sin, he moves the bar further. He moves the threshold further. So in the beginning, the biggest sin he would make would be, let's say, to miss minyan. After he missed a few minyanim, now it's not really such a big deal. So now, sometimes the biggest sin is missing tefillah altogether. After he got used to missing tefillah altogether, now all of a sudden he got used to it. It's not a big deal. Now he makes another sin. He does something else. He eats non-kosher. And you see the sins keep getting worse. Once a person starts looking at girls, in the beginning it's just looking. Then it's touching. Then it's talking. Then it's this. Then the threshold keeps moving further and further and further. So when a person sees that he has a doubt, and he says, this is not a big deal. It's not a big deal. I have a doubt, but you don't have to know everything. And he goes to sleep comfortably, even though he has a doubt about what he said, or what he thought, or what he read, and so on. He doesn't go after the truth, doesn't plan a way to get to the truth, to arrive at the truth. Then he's risking making the threshold even further, where, okay, now I'm not really sure. Next time, even if I know, I'm still, who cares? The threshold gets worse and worse. Little by little, the person becomes a kofel. So it's not overnight that a person says, I stopped believing overnight. No, it takes time. It takes a lot of leniencies that you make for yourself. So the Chachamim say you have to have your domination over the Torah, just like the lion has domination over his tribe. And ultimately, Rabotai Yekarim, all of this is to carry out the will of our Father in heaven. Even though many of the traits that are mentioned here are negative, boldness has a little bit of arrogance in it. Lightness sometimes comes seems like a synonym for being superficial, only worrying about the exterior and things that are meaningless. Being swift could also be a form of being impulsive, meaning not having patience, just doing things right away. And being overly strong could also be viewed as being cruel. So Yehuda ben Taima reminds us that you can use all of these things that are generally looked at as negative, even them you can use to serve your Father in heaven. Same example as we said about all of technology and all of tools. Some people have a writing skill and they can write chidushim about the Torah. They can write parashat Shavua. They can write some ma'amar that's going to be useful in the world. Some people have writing skills and they write things against Hashem. Here Yehuda ben Taima is explaining to us that you can use everything that Hashem gave you either for good or for evil. It's up to you what you're going to use it. You have a memory, you can either remember the Gemara by heart, or you can remember phone numbers. You have the ability to do good calculations in your mind. You can either use that calculation to figure out specific, intricate details about halacha, or you can calculate all the people and how much you can fool them in certain things. Everything that Hashem gave you, you can use it as to build a Beit HaMikdash or to destroy it. So Here, the Yehuda ben Taima is specifically using things that are typically used as negative. And he's telling you, even from the most negative, Hashem gave you the ability to become the most positive.
When you fool somebody in the game, you also destroy them.
Yeah, you gonev emet. Says it's actually a sin where you're stealing his mind. Not allowed to steal an idea, not allowed to steal his mind. Midvar sheker tirchak. There's several sins associated with it.
In a soccer game, when I try to fool somebody, or in a poker game, when I try to bluff somebody, it means that you steal his God?
No, you're not trying to fool somebody as far as to steal his mind when you're playing soccer. You're trying to overcome him in regards to just physically beat him with something.
I'm showing him I'm going right and I'm going left.
Right, but you're trying to, in essence, yeah, you tricked his brain, you tricked his body more than his brain. You tricked his body more than his brain if you're faster than him, if you're more agile than him, and so on. But there's in a soccer game, it's more of the physicality. It's not if that one particular one-on-one is not going to be it's not a bet. You're not gambling on that specific thing.
And the poker, it's going to mind.
Whereas when you play poker, you're gambling. You're gambling. You're putting money on the line, and even though you both agreed to a certain set of rules, at the end, after he loses or after you lose, neither one of you wants to comply with the rules, but you have to because it's part of the game. But if you really were given a free choice, you would not give them the money. No one willingly gives the money after they lose. If you had pocket aces and he had pocket deuces, okay, and you both won all in before the flop, and he got another deuce that went on the river, and he won everything, and the reality is you're going to want to kill him. Why? Because he just took all your money with an inferior hand, 4-1 odds. But the reality is that you have to give him the money, or else they're going to throw you out and take your money anyway. But him taking the money from you is considered, according to halacha, as 100% stealing. Why? What is stealing? Stealing means that you take something against somebody else's will. That's what stealing is. That's what gezel is.
It's not an F-kill, and the money in the pot is F-kill.
Mapitom, why is it F-kill? No, it's F-kill if no one is looking to claim it. If no one is looking to claim it, meaning if everybody left, would they just leave it there? Or no, everybody would claim it's mine. You could leave it, but I'm not leaving it. It's not F-kill. F-kill means that you left something for dead. Anyone, it's up for grabs. Whoever wants to take it. It's not F-kill. You can't add to halacha. You cannot add to halacha. You cannot create new rules. You cannot change the emet. That's the point of this entire Mishnah. The entire Mishnah is trying to tell us that sometimes the emet hurts. Sometimes it forces you to change your life, change your job, change your marriage, change your midot. They asked Rabbi Yisrael Misalant, Alav Shalom, and he said, Kvod Harav, what's the most difficult thing in the world? He says to change one midah. He says, yeah, but Kvod Harav, isn't it more difficult to finish the Shas? He says it's much, much easier to finish the whole Shas than it is to fix one midah. Meaning, if you're Talmid Chacham, you do Daf Yomi, it'll take you a little over 7 years to finish the Shas, the entire Gemara. He said it's easier to finish the Shas in 7 years. That's easy, a 7-year battle to finish the Shas, much easier than to change one midah. Why? Because any midah that's worth changing obligates you, and it's difficult for you, and you have to sweat over it, and you have to change your emet. Because until now, you believe that being angry is okay. Until now, you believe that stealing is okay. Until now, you believe that looking at any woman that moves is okay. Until now, you believed whatever you were doing is true. That's why you did it. So to change that midah means you have to reverse. You have to go back to the beginning before you got this awful thought. And that's a long time back. So it takes a lot of work and a lot of training. But it's possible. And the Gaon Mivina Alav Shalom says that if you came to the world and you didn't fix your midot, lema tichyeh. What'd you live for? What'd you come to the world for? If you didn't fix your midot, there's no point to your life. Better off you weren't born. If you think you came to the world to lay some tefillin, keep some Shabbat, eat some chulin, then that's the reason you came to the world, you came to the wrong world, my friend. You came to the world to become a better human being. Using the mitzvot as tools to become that better human being. Yes?
If you lived your life as a righteous person, is the day of
Amen.
the day of your death better than the day of your birth?
That's what Shlomo HaMelech says. Shlomo HaMelech says in Ecclesiastes that it's Tov Shem Mishem Tov Miyom HaMavet Liyom Hivaldo. It's better to have a good name than good oil, because good name lasts much longer than good oil, meaning money. Good name meaning that you did mitzvot, you did good things, and people will remember you for all the good things you did. Whereas your money, as soon as you die, they forgot you. They're splitting up your assets as if they were splitting up your body for a steak. They care less about you. People that have a lot of money think that if they have their name on buildings, then people are going to care about them as soon as they die. The reality is, the building that has your name on it is just waiting for a bigger donor so they can remove your name. They care less about you. So, Shlomo HaMelech says that your name is going to carry much more weight than your money. And Yom HaMavet Miyom Hivaldo is better also. Dying is better than living. Why? Because if a person was righteous and he had a good name, then when he died, he knows he's going to an eternal world of good. But when he's born, he's just starting the battle. So of course, a righteous person is much happier when he dies. Why is he happy? Because he's going to Gan Eden. He's going to Olam Haba. But when a person is in this world, he was just born, what is the first thing that a baby does to show that he's alive? He cries. Why is he crying? Because he just left Olam HaEmet. He left Olam HaEmet and he realizes that work just began. For however long Hashem dictates, he's going to be here and he has to work. And that's why Job says, Adam la'amal yulad. A person came here to work. So if a person lived a righteous life, his day of death is much better than a day of birth. Because day of birth is when he started working. Day of death is when he went to Olam HaEmet and he's forever on vacation in a good place. If he lived a wicked life, if he was a Mechalel Shabbat, if he didn't fix his midot, if he made a lot of excuses for himself for every single thing in the world, if he did not fix himself, then a day of death is unfortunately the day that this real suffering will only begin. But that's the part that people don't like to talk about, but that's just the reality. Yes? Raise your hand? Oh, you're just saying hi? Oh, seeing things probably, yeah. Maybe it was the mom.
Give me about how if you don't keep Shabbat, you spit in that face, so I can have them okay to get a Kivat Avad the Rosh Hashanah, and Yishmor Shabbat Rosh Hashanah or two. Shabbat is so important, and sometimes Yetzirah puts you in spots that you might not keep it. And like this week, the first time, like many Shabbat, I found myself in like a place like Porta Vita, עוד שנייה, תשאר, תשמור שבת פה, יהיה לך טוב. Keep here, and if I would be there, it would be a struggle, and I just like flew here to the best of Sunday, so great for that.
So, the Parashat Shavua, Parashat Ekev, says, "V'lo ta'avod et Elohem ki mokeshu lach." Says, you shall not worship their gods, because it's a trap, it's a snare for you. Then later on, a little bit later, says, פסילי אלוהים תשרפון באש, לא תחמוד כסף וזהב עליהם, ולקחת לך פן תבקש בו כי תועבת אדוני אלוהיך הוא, ולא תביא תועבה אל ביתך. Says, first it says, don't worship their idols. And then here it says again, the carved images of their gods, you shall not burn in fire. You shall burn in fire. Meaning, take their idols and burn them. But that we already know. What is it adding here? So you shouldn't even want, you shouldn't covet and take for yourself the silver and the gold that's on them, lest you be ensnared by it, for it's an abomination of Hashem your God. So the chidush that we have here that Moshe Rabbeinu tells us, he says first, don't worship their gods. That's obvious. That's every person with a little bit of da'at, a little bit of sechel knows you shouldn't worship any idol, anything other than God. But here he gives us a chidush that even 3,300 years later most people don't know. What's the chidush? He says that even if they have these idols, they have a little gold chain on them with a cross. They have some diamonds, they have some bling bling on them. Cost $1.5 million. It says even that, you have to destroy it. you should get to such a point that you shouldn't covet it. You shouldn't want it. Not only you're not allowed to have it, but it has to be destroyed with the idol. Why? Because that's the trap. It's not the idol that's the trap. It's not the idol that's the trap. It's the stuff around it that's the trap. Because the idol, only a Rasha Gamur goes and worships an idol. Only someone that's psychotic, someone that's using things like all types of witchcraft and so on. That's not the trap. A normal Jew doesn't worship idols. It's the stuff around it that's the problem. That's what he's talking about, this Toivat Hashem. Why? He says, look at what kind of example Moshe Rabbeinu gives us. He says, if it has a silver and gold on them, that's the trap. Why is silver and gold specifically a trap? Why didn't he say if some diamonds are there, or if there's money there, or there's a piece of meat, or there's, I don't know, something else. 1.5 million different examples that are used as something there. Like, why is this specifically here? He says, because silver and gold, realistically, if I had a bar of gold, or somebody had a bar of gold, and they brought it as a korban, they brought it as a sacrifice for their idol. The guy that took the bar knows the idol is nothing, doesn't move, doesn't hear, doesn't speak, doesn't nothing. He takes the bar of gold, and he wants to use it again. Now, when he goes to the market and he says, hey guys, I want to buy a house with this bar of gold, no one knows that this bar of gold was used for idol worship. No one knows it was a sacrifice, right? So he could use it. Now, if no one knows, it's not their fault. But he's saying, if you know that this was used as a sacrifice, you know that this was used for idolatry, you're not allowed to want it even, because it's considered disgusting in the eyes of Hashem. Why? Because this is where the excuses begin. You're going to say, listen, Hashem, you sent me gold. Okay, so somebody used this gold as sacrifice, but no one's going to know. I'm not going to desecrate your name, because no one's going to know that this gold was used for idolatry. It doesn't have any markings on it. It doesn't say made in India on it. And even if it does, it can melt the gold, it can melt the silver, and make a new coin out of it. And no one's going to know that it's fine, there's anything wrong with it. Right? That's the excuse. That's the most dangerous excuse in the world. Why? Hashem says it's not about other people knowing it. It's about I know it. I know it was used to go against me. I know it was used as a tool to go desecrate my name. And you care less about me. You don't care about me. You care about your pocket. And that's Toivat Hashem. That's disgusting in the eyes of Hashem. Why? You like the money more than you like me. So now you're going to use all the excuses in the world to go, no, I could use this gold, I can melt it, and therefore I could use it, and so on and so forth. So now, Rabotai Karim, this also brings us back to the debate we have about this wigs. A person needs to understand, I told this to a woman today, because somebody asked her a question about these, and I actually use the same verse as a source. A person said, well, wait a minute, what about these people that are wearing wigs, if it's is it the actual Avodah Zarah, if it's not? So here's the thing, the wigs in India is not the actual Avodah Zarah, it's the korban, it's the sacrifice. Which means that it was used for idolatry. And this specific verse is one of many verses in the Torah that tells us that not only are we not allowed to worship idols, we're also not allowed to benefit out of anything that's associated with idolatry. Needless to say, kal v'chomer, if something was used as a sacrifice, like hair, and then they sell it, or they give it to you for free, or you want to put it on the wall, if you have any benefit out of it, you are violating the Torah 100%. To what extent? There's a machloket. Some say it's the same extent as worshiping the idol itself, where it's better off, areg ve'al yavo. It's better off you would die and not wear the wig. There is an opinion that says, no, it's not as bad as areg ve'al yavo, but it's still a huge sin. They have to do tshuva for. Either way, Rabotai Karim, here we see that the Torah uses something very, very peculiar. It says that even the gold, that you could melt it again and reform it in a way that no one in the world can tell it's the same gold. Even the biggest experts in the world are not going to be able to tell that this gold used to be the gold from Sweden because you remelted it, and now you say it's made in India, or it's made in Taiwan, or it's made in whatever, some other company. You remelted it. No one is ever going to be able to tell it's the same gold. This is why thieves in past history would always want to steal gold and not money, because money you could track with the serial numbers. Gold you can't, you just melt it. So now, when you don't know that it came from Avodah Zarah, Hashem says you're still not allowed to use it. Why? Because I know. So what about when you do know? When you do know it came from Avodah Zarah. Why? Because 98% of all the hair in the world comes from Avodah Zarah. So you know it came from India. So there's no excuse there. There's no excuse when it comes to the Avodah Zarah of wigs. So here, what does this have to do with Shabbat? This has to do with Shabbat, where if you look at the entire Torah, there's 12 times in the Torah that Hashem says you're not allowed to violate Shabbat, and if you do, I'm going to kill you. He says it literally, I'm going to kill you. In this world, in the next world, and so on. And every single time that it mentions death penalty for Shabbat, he also says Avodah Zarah. He mentions the sin of idol worship. Why? Because in the eyes of Hashem, a person that violates Shabbat is considered 100% an idol worshiper. Because the whole point of keeping Shabbat, the Gemara Masechet Shabbat says, is to act as a witness, to testify that Hashem created the world in 6 days. Which means that if you choose not to act as this witness to Hashem's creation, then what are you doing? You're saying Hashem didn't create the world. You are saying somebody else created the world, or you did. You're the master of yourself. And that's why a person is considered an idol worshiper. So here we see that Hashem does not accept idol worshippers or anything associated with them, but the most dangerous thing that connects both idolatry and Chilul Shabbat and any other sin is the excuses we make for ourselves to justify the sin. Oh no, it's this and it's this and it's that. That's the excuses, is the poison. That's the most dangerous thing. Anything else? Or we're finished for today.
Is a person like Michael Brown considered an idolater?
Are you asking the questions to hear yourself talk, or are you asking the questions because you really want interested in the answer?
I feel like he doesn't even believe the stuff that he says. I feel like he's just doing it for the money.
He's still going to get Gehinnom. He's definitely after money, but he's representing idolatry. So, regardless of whether he believes it or not, he's considered a mean. He's considered someone that's in the worst category of human being on earth. He brings people away from Torah. So he's actually even worse than someone that's only an idol worshiper by himself. Somebody called Michael Brown. Idol worshiper. He's an idol worshiper. Mean. No. Loan shark. Loan shark. No, it's not a loan shark. Next.
Oh, it's the question time?
No, now we're finished. Your questions are done. You asked your question, you ran away, no more questions from
I
you.
was about to see
No
what
more
my
questions
time
from you.
was.
Today you finished. Today you disrespected the Torah, you don't get questions.
When did I respect the Torah?
Right now.
Why?
Next.
How did I respect it?
Baruch Adonai Leolam. Amen ve'amen.